shit. You know, oh man, I see the photo in the air. Keep it in the air, I'ma spit it right there. Yeah, look at how it go, look at how it flow. He's holding up a real photo of yo. Oh yo, let it go. That shit's raw right there, man. He is a pro. And I wanna show you, that shit's clearer. It's like you holding up a motherfucking mirror. God damn, look at this. My man got the shirt, KRS Chris. Yo, give me that, give me that. I'ma turn it around, yo. This the god of rap. I bring it to the center. Put your eyes on it. I want you to remember. I rip shit from September to September.
I guess you go back and look at it, but I say this piece because most people start hip-hop with music, and hip-hop is not really music. Hip-hop is the attitude that gives you the music. So as long as we have the attitude, which was an attitude against oppression, against colonialism, imperialism, capitalism, against all of that, that was the original spirit of hip-hop. From its earth, like, make what you need on your own. You don't have to go to the store. You have a mind. Make your table, make your chair, make your clothes, make your books. Have an existence unto yourself. The real meaning of self-determination.
You got the light. That shit is really bright. But it's showing that my skills are tight and my whole shit is right. Now I want you to keep the camera on me. What you looking at is an EMCEE. And what that means is that's not a light getting clearer. That's the mirror. I'm talking about me and you. Look at how we do. This is not me and you. This is one, not two. You gotta understand what a uni is. Put the verse. That's what the universe is. When you know it's one song, then you know what's right from what is wrong.
You're dealing with hip-hop. Okay. You're dealing with the transformation of subjects and objects according to your perception. And this is what we knew. We knew that this, like, you know, okay, is a spoon. This is only called a spoon because I was trained in school to think it was a spoon. I was told in school this is a S-P-O-O-N, spoon. Say it, class, spoon. You use it like this, spoon. We walk around with that colonial education. This is a spoon. But if we step outside of that education, we'll see that this is just matter. What we are calling things is not what things are. This is not a spoon. This is what we are calling this thing. Whatever this is, spoon is not what it is. That's not the truth of this. Spoon is not the truth of this. What is the truth of this? And that journey to find out the truth of this is what our people were about. We didn't care whether it was Margie up the block said it was a spoon. David up the block said it was a Gigi. And when David up the block said Gigi, he used it as a Gigi. He used it as the same thing. This is the same thing. But what you call it, what your perception is looking at it, is how it's going to respond to you. So our people realize nothing is what it, none of this is what it is. It's all names, terms, titles, names. We look past that. That means now you have no more problems in your life, because if you can change whatever is coming to you, you know, some evil is coming to you, you change it to good. That's God. That ability only rests with the gods. That's it. And we proved it through slavery. And even though slavery is a horrible crime against our humanity, it proves our divinity.
Truly.
We still here.
Thank you.
I'm still talking to my brothers right now with the same conviction my father had 1,000, 2, 3, 4, 5,000 years ago. They did not defeat us. They only captured us. They didn't conquer us.
The first thing the colonists did when he arrived on the shores of the Americas was he outlawed the drum. There was a sacredness to the boom, boom, bap that the devil could not stand. That sound was like kryptonite. It was like a cross to a vampire. Every time he heard boom, boom, bap, he ran. Now they want you to soften up and shit. Drums are getting real small and tight. Y'all want to hear some boom bap? High level. Sit back, relax, and reacquaint yourself. Get back to the original, primitive, savage, naked self. Brace yourself, recreate yourself, make yourself. For too long you've been taught to hate yourself. Man, don't forsake yourself. Recreate yourself. Take yourself much higher. History's not your story. The devil is a liar. Listen to nothing the outside world says about you. The world is meant to distract you, reroute you, then doubt you. Most of these rappers about the world. KRS is about you. So remember what I taught you about how to in and out do. Go inside your inner city, quickly go within you. Have an interview with the energy that's within you. Ask yourself, why you? Why now? Why here? Then it becomes quite clear you are divine. You should not fear. Bills, you should not fear. Thrills, you should not stare. Focus your attention on G-O-D. It's right here! It's right! It's right! Let's go!
What is up, prove it? It's that tribal jungle sound.
You are a divine being!
Right.
One more time. No one's ever gonna tell you you are divine. Cause they ain't reached that mind. And all this time they still are blind. They tell you get in line, follow them, look for signs. Man, that's baby milk. Here's the raw meat, it's cooking time. It's the way in which you look at brain and look at mind. You think it ain't the same, but if you look again, you'll find the whole design of nature is from a gifted mind, a divine mind, outside what we call space and time. This divine mind is what creates brains, hearts, and livers. This divine mind produces butterflies and caterpillars. And everything that quivers, brains don't make brains, divine mind does. Life is a game with its own mind, its own aim, and its own name. It's simple and plain. Divine mind produces all brains. You are divine mind first, then you produce your brain. Divine intelligence or God, that's from which you came.
Let's go, 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 go. Dance and what's up? Is there anything right tonight? Hip hop is in the building.
Listen, this is our single album. This album is called Street Light. And all of y'all part of the DVD version of it. Street life.
What's up? It's the Blast Master KRS-ONE, and welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop. And we are definitely in effect. I'm feeling really good today. Well, I feel good every day, really. But this day is really feeling great because I got my track lighting at the temple. I know that might seem like a small thing, but it was a wonderful thing for us to not have to rely on the ceiling lights. The standard lights we have there at the temple, we put in track lighting. So now I can light up each piece on the wall. And that was a big deal to me. It really was. I definitely wanted to make that happen. So it's like a little victory right there in terms of us, our further building with the Temple of Hip Hop. I start there because we're going to talk a little bit about the Temple of Hip Hop today. We're going to talk about our mission and our vision. And the reason I'm talking about our mission and our vision is because of what went on this week. Just so you guys know, I did an interview for the S1Ws. The S1Ws, you might remember the S1Ws from Public Enemy. The dudes used to stand behind Public Enemy and do the step in. Well, they were doing a documentary, and we went to the temple, and we did the interview there. But the cameraman that was there was also grabbing the interview on his phone. And what he did was he clipped off a piece of the interview that he got on his phone, and he put it out. And of course, S1Ws were caught off guard. I was caught off guard. Everybody's caught off guard. The thing went up. And what did it say? I was answering a question about why I didn't attend the Grammys. Not everybody, but a lot of people were saying, for an event like that, why wasn't KRS there? And why wasn't others there as well? So I answered him. And basically, you might have seen the answer already that has gone out. But my basic stance is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not being taken out of context. I mean, obviously the film is, because he just clipped off a piece and threw it out there. So that's out of context. But my answer was not. It was a question about why I didn't show up. Here's the answer. And so I wasn't going to discuss that this week, but it just so happens that we were planned to discuss the Temple of Hip Hop, its vision and its mission this week, today. This was our scheduled talk today. And it does match with this week's controversy, uproar, I don't know, whatever it is, but a lot of people are responding. And the idea is for us as temple members, for us as teachers of the temple, those who join this call, and have been loyal to the call for the last 2-3 years, 4 or 5 years, really. But those of you who are on this call, this is what we need to know. Excuse me. We don't need to get caught up. We don't need to get caught up in the latest gossip or the latest controversy. Ooh, did you hear what this one said? Or you hear what that one said? No, that's not what we're into. That's those who keep track of what people say and throw it around. That's their business. Our business is something completely different. We're here to preserve hip hop. And that is what I want to make clear here today, because there's a lot of people that say they're about the preservation of hip hop and then they front. And I'm going to show you the difference between the real and the fake. Excuse me for that. But the difference between the real and the fake, not on no diss, all of hip hop is our family. But as we grow this culture, you got to know differences between things or you'll get confused. I heard a few people was even saying, even like, Why does he feel that way? And uh, why? Like there was a why. Like we don't know. It's the Grammys. It's da. So why is it? And most people they really are uninformed. They really don't know the history of what we are actually standing on. They don't understand the principles by which we're standing on. So I'm documenting those principles into this discussion today. This discussion is about the Temple of Hip Hop. At the end of this, we're going to play the Temple's bio. It's about 15 minutes of film, which talks about how the temple came to be. We do this at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year. We're doing this part at the end of the year. It's the end of the 50th anniversary. Well, not the end of the 50th anniversary, but in terms of 2023. It's the end of 2023. We're coming into a new year. We're gaining new members every day. And so it's important for those that take this call to actually, we all be on the same page. We all be on the same page. And it's not enough for me to just say it one time 3 months ago or one time 1 month ago. No, we have to keep going over what is the mission, what is the vision, why are we doing what we're doing, what's the point? And so that's what we're going to go over today. But we're going to do it in a historic way. I was not a historic way in the sense. Listen, this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to read history. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm going to read history. We're going to go through the movement part of the gospel of hip hop so we can discuss history. Because what I'm going to read you some of my notes right now. I had some notes. I have some notes here. These are just, and I'm going to read you my notes because this is also part of a larger script that I'm actually putting together. We got to update the Temple of Hip Hop's bio anyway. So this is part of a larger script with that. But these are my raw notes. And I felt that they would be, it's good stuff to read for right now, for right here. Especially, well, for both of us, for those that are just tuning in to these kinds of calls. And for those that have been on these types of calls, it's always good to reiterate and go back over. I probably do need something to wipe these off with. It is always good to go back and reiterate, just because you've gone from kindergarten to first grade, second grade, third grade, you'll notice that what you learned in first grade, you might still need in fifth grade. What you learned in second grade, you might still need in the eighth grade. Little concepts like 1 + 1 = 2, and A, B, C, and D, E, F. These kinds of things. You learn that in kindergarten things. You learn that in kindergarten, and in the early parts of your learning, first grade, second grade. You learn that like that. But the other side to it is that these skills never leave you, or at least they're never supposed to leave you. They're never supposed to leave you, but they do. People forget what they say. People do prayers and forget what they prayed for. Prayer comes, they don't even recognize it. People fight a war and fight so long in the war, they win the prize and forget whatever they was fighting for. These guys, the fight becomes what it's all about. So you're just endlessly fighting. And you already won what you were supposed to get. So, this week's controversy is it's a teachable moment. It's a teachable moment where we're going to have to decide if we're going to stand on principle or stand on profit. And I mention this because I had a mixtape years ago called Prophets versus Prophets. Maybe now the manifestation is coming forward because we're going to stand with this culture. Let's be clear. Let me make these distinctions. Let me start the distinction right now. We're standing on culture. Now, that's not to say that nobody else, ain't standing on culture. None of that. Matter of fact, it has nothing to do with anybody else. Whether you standing on culture, whether you're not standing on culture, whether you even know what culture is, that has nothing to do with us. We are standing on culture. That's the point. We are standing on culture. We've made it clear. We've been making it clear. And this was, well, we made it clear. This is what we're about. But I made that clear also in the clip in my response to the question that I was asked. I made it clear there within the clip. I say right there, if we all know that hip hop is breaking, MCing, graffiti art, DJing, and we could debate the others, okay? But we know the core 4 elements of hip hop: breaking, MCing, graffiti art, and DJing. Now, if we know that's what it is, why would any of us tolerate the distortion of that, the exploitation of that, the lying about that, the ignoring of that, which was my point? You want to call me on the 50th anniversary like I'm some boy that's supposed to run and, oh, because you the Grammys? No, first of all, me as a person ain't that, but I'm staying within my hip hop attitude. Even if I was that kind of person to say, okay, let's just go do the Grammys because it's the Grammys. Even if I was that kind of person, my hip hop attitude actually starts with, I forgot the song, but Public Enemy says outright, who gives a fuck about a goddamn Grammy? That's hip hop's attitude. And we should not forget it. No disrespect to the Grammys, to Naris, to anybody else. There's no diss. We're not saying it to you. We're affirming who we are. And that's what everybody seems to be messed up about, is we're real shit over here, okay? So I don't know what y'all doing over there. We about this breaking, this MCing, this graffiti writing, and this DJing. Okay, that's what we about. Now, if you're not about that, then you're not about what we about. And you can't expect to call us into a situation we ain't even about. And then you're going to say, this is hip hop. And come on, we all looking at the TV. We all are looking at the TV. And we can see how they degrading our culture, disrespecting our culture, and none of us are gonna say something. None of us are gonna stand our ground and say enough is enough. You can't slander hip hop's name and image in the world like this. Well, this is why the Temple of Hip Hop exists. Because as we will learn today, everybody can't take this stance. I understand. Others have contracts, they got this, they got that, they're wedded to the game, their money's connected to that, all of that. And I understand that. And that's why I say humbly, this ain't got nothing to do with nobody. This has to do with who we are and what we standing on. And I want to make that first distinction. I'm not calling out the Grammys. No, I'm not doing that. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is standing on my principles, which for me is not a hard thing to do. Okay, how hard is it? I am hip hop. I love being hip hop. Why would I leave what I love to join something that's trying to exploit what I love? I don't think it has anything to do with the Grammys. In fact, I think the Grammys has all the right to ask me to join, to come, to be there. You have all the right. The question is, am I going to show up? Now, everybody else can show up because they have not taken the vows that I have taken. They are not part of the principles. They don't follow what I follow. So I understand. But don't think for 1 minute that KRS-ONE is going to somehow front. Grammy come around, I'm going to front. Radio come around, I'm going to front because I want opportunity. I never was that dude. I'm never going to be that dude. The dude I am is the Black Panther Party. That's the dude I am. Okay, Kwame Ture. That's the dude I am. Marcus Garvey. That's what we standing on. Now, some people front on that. They yell Marcus Garvey, but the minute somebody call with a check, they run it. No problem. That's you. But it ain't me. Okay, so let's be clear. This is the first distinction to make. We are disrespecting no one. No one. We would rather be friends and work together and all of that. That's what we would rather do. But there's no way you're going to tell me that hip hop is what is being portrayed in mass media today. That I'm not going to agree with. I'll show up even. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll even show up. I've showed up to some corny shit. Okay, I have. I will admit. Okay, I have showed up to some shit. I'm like, why am I here? But I did it for a favor. I did it because of this one. I was over there because I didn't know. We were there, all of this. Okay, but I'm there. In this particular situation, I have no reason to attend the Grammy Awards, or not even awards, whatever that presentation was. I have no reason to attend it. I'm building my temple. They're playing games with hip hop. And I say that respectfully, because you're not breaking MC and graffiti or DJ, so you're calling that hip hop. Go ahead with that. That's your version, I guess. That's what y'all do. But KRS-ONE, nah, that's not what we do. I remember something different. I remember the vows we took. I remember the vision we had. I remember the goals we wanted to reach as a community. You know what I'm saying? I remember those exploiting hip hop, not resentment, like, oh, yo, y'all exploited hip hop back in the days. I can't deal with you. That's resentment. We're not dealing with resentment. We're dealing with you exploited hip hop back in the days, and you still exploiting it up to the phone call. Okay, why would I deliver my nation over to you? There's no way. So that's why we are the temple of hip hop, because we're separated. We are a delineated space. I'm not going to read that part of the gospel, but we are a delineated space. We are a sacred space in hip hop that says, here, we're going to keep it real. Okay, there's no games here. There's no fake shit here. There's no lack of skill here. There's no, I don't know the history here. No, here, we're going to keep it real with it. Now, everybody ain't with it, so let's start a temple of hip hop. So that those who are with it got somewhere to go. Those who really want to preserve the culture, you got somewhere to go. We got somewhere to go. We got a place where we could do our work. Now, while I'm doing this work, you gonna call me to go play games? I can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm an adult. I can't do that. So I start off with that first distinction. We're not dissing nobody. We're not against anybody. But I think this week's discussion that hip hop is having about the Grammys and KRS's response, I think it has more to do with, who are you? I'm real hip hop. Real hip hop don't give a fuck about the Grammys, respectfully. Real hip hop. Now, if you're a recording artist and you got political shit you got to deal with, you got record companies and dudes that gave you money and all this stuff, we will help you. We're not even against, there's no way we're against you. We are your servants. But as cultural servants, as culture keepers, as teachers, we cannot know the truth, okay, know it, and then allow ourselves to contradict the truth we know just because you are what? Whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Oscars, BET Awards, Grammys. Who are these people? Oh, like, really? And see, when your eye is open, you look through the bullshit and you can see what it really is. And when you can see things for what they really are, now you can leave. Because you're not going to be tempted and tainted by the world's bullshit. You don't need it. You don't need it. So I want to make that distinction clear. Knowledge reigns supreme. Okay? Not this bullshit. Bullshit don't reign supreme. Okay? Knowledge reigns supreme. And that's what I stand on. And those with the Temple of Hip Hop, we stand on this. So what are we standing on? Peace and welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop. I am KRS-ONE. The Temple of Hip Hop is a hip hop preservation ministry, archive, school, and society established in 1996 to ensure the further development of hip hop as a global culture of peace and prosperity. Now, you know, that's our preamble. Our hip hop preservation work began, or begins, I should say, at the birthplace of hip hop itself, 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx. Now, notice how these lines that I'm giving you, this is what we have agreed upon. This is what most of hip hop has agreed upon. Some people debate this, but this is what we are standing on. Whether you like it, don't like it, debate it, don't believe it. It's not true. It is true. That's irrelevant. Here's what we're standing on. So that's why we're having this lesson, so that we're clear. We are clear as to what it is that we doing. So it don't look so crazy. And or others, you don't have to call me because you know what my stance is. Or call me when you know what, you know, yo, this is something Chris is about. Yo, this is something the Temple of Hip Hop could be about. Let's call Chris and get his involvement. But if it ain't what I'm about, then you just don't call me, and I respect that. Don't call me with shit that I ain't about. But the other side to it is that it seems like people don't even know what I'm about. That's the shocking part to me. You know, some of these comments I'm seeing is like I guess you young, you don't know. So hopefully, I'm reiterating this into our record, into our teaching record, so that those can go back. You can take a look at this and take a look at it. What you're listening to is a free man. And I know a lot of us don't get to hear that much. You know, you get a whiny voice that's enslaved. And I say that respectfully, but listen to what they're trying to say hip hop is over the airwaves. The audio version of hip hop is a whiny, young, whiny voice that doesn't know and doesn't care. That's what they're promoting. And young people don't even sound like that. Young people don't even, that's not the voice of young, that's the voice of some young people. But if you're not whining on the mic, like listen to the voice tone, nothing adult, nothing deep voice, nothing growly, no drum banging. It's all thin, and you make it an 808, you know, boom. That's the only percussion we know now is boom. No goom goom or dum dum or bit bit or none of that. You know, we're losing the art. We're losing this. So when the real master shows up with the full menu, and you realize that you was just eating McDonald's your whole career, then now you begin to see the difference between a real oxtail dinner and a Burger King fish sandwich. You know, you begin to see the difference between some real rice, some real beans, some real gravy, something thick on the plate, nice piece of salmon, whole lobster, some kind of something, red snapper. No, you're not getting none of that. That's why the temple exists. This is the fine cuisine of culture. So you come to the temple, you know, we're not going to give you McDonald's. Okay, and big up to McDonald's. But we're not going to give you that. McDonald's know that they don't even eat McDonald's. You think the CEOs of McDonald's eat McDonald's? Okay, no, they're feeding you that. Okay, so when you wake up and realize that there's a real meal to get, now you start to mature and start smelling that real meal. And that's where we at right here. Our hip hop preservation work begins at the birthplace of hip hop itself, 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx. Shout out to John Crotty. Shout out to DJ Jerry Lita. Shout out to Miss Gloria Robinson and Miss Geraldine Davis. Come on now. Shout out to the whole 1520 Sedgwick Avenue. Shout out to the whole Sedgwick Avenue block as well. 1600, 1514, all of y'all. Shout out to the whole block over there. But we start there. That's where we start. Following that, in 73, we run through our inspiration through Zulu Nation. 74, 75, 76. Zulu Nation's codifying hip hop as breaking, MCing, graffiti, or DJing, knowledge and overstanding. We credit that with 74, but you know that was built over a period of time. That's like the whole rest of the 70s, we're figuring ourselves out. And it was Zulu Nation that at one time was hip hop itself. That's it. Hip hop was nowhere else. It was there within the confounds of Zulu Nation as an organization. I mean, think about that for a minute. Think about that for a minute. And I'm not just talking about the stars of Zulu Nation, Red Alert, Chuck Chill Out, Africa Islam, Jazzy J. These are huge DJs to this day. I just did Red Alert's 40th. Okay, to this day, these dudes are still working. All of them come out of Zulu Nation. The early radio, Zulu Beats on WHBI and WNWK, but WHBI. This is huge. All the groups, most of the groups, late 80s, 90s, were claiming Zulu Nation. You hear it in their records. This was the learning. This is where we started to learn of hip hop connected to Black culture, learn of hip hop beyond music. Now, of course, members of Zulu Nation crazy. So, you know, you trying to organize a street urban environment. That's the hardest thing in the world to do. Okay, get gang members together and dudes going to school versus the dude that don't know what he want to do and this, and you putting it all together and trying to say this is hip hop. This is hip hop. So we're influenced by Zulu Nation's work. You cannot discuss hip hop historically without discussing Zulu Nation. So we're influenced by Zulu Nation's codification of breaking, MCing, graffiti, or DJing, knowledge and overstanding. That was a huge leap for us. This led to the principles of peace, love, unity, and safely having fun as the means for why we were breaking, MCing, graffiti, art, and DJing. During these chaotic times, now remember, see, today we sitting back and you can watch me on your phone or whatever it is, but back in the days, none of this technology existed. And the only way you could be heard is if you wound up on MTV, which was impossible, or Ralph McDaniels came out with Video Music Box, and at least if you was from New York, you could get a little play with Ralph McDaniels if your record rose up in the clubs, because Ralph was in the clubs. So if he saw your record banging in the clubs, then your video would somehow pop up on Video Music Box. And that's how we got heard. That's how we got, you know, MTV wasn't checking for us. BET wasn't checking for us. Everybody was checking for us. BET didn't exist yet. Rap City didn't exist yet. And actually, Your MTV Raps didn't exist yet either. We're just talking about the regular MTV that even Michael Jackson couldn't even get on. So you can imagine us little rappers you can forget it, okay? They wasn't trying to hear us at all. Same thing with the Grammys. Do I have to say that? Yes, I do. They wasn't checking for us at all, okay? At all. Rap music exploded. Okay, in 1990. We already exploded since 79. So you figure from 1979 to 1989, we were invisible at the Grammys. Run DMC was the biggest thing. Okay, forget group. Okay, these dudes was the Beatles. Wow. These companies degraded Run DMC so much that now you don't even know, you don't even respect their, like who they really were. But you respect the Rolling Stones for who they were. You respect, you know, all these rock groups, opera, others, even jazz, to an extent, jazz is still struggling, but even to an extent, you know, this is, you remember certain people of these genres and you hold them up to a certain standard, and you remember their music and you play their music, and when their birthdays come around, you say, this one was born on this day, and the young kids remember that. We didn't do that with hip hop, or should I say with rap. When rap music came out, it was something to use, something to grab, something only for just to exploit. And we MCs didn't feel that way. We graffiti writers, DJs, we didn't feel that way. We were doing ourselves, being ourselves. We wanted some money. We wanted some fame. We wanted some girls. This is what we was about. And it was like, yo, we looking for the money, the fame, and the girls. Here comes exploitation, capitalism, and commerce. We got blindsided. Bow! No, you got to know about contracts, offer sheets, this, that, and the other. What? Exchanging money. Oh, yeah. Oh, what? We some kids off the street. But now we got to learn all this stuff that you're supposed to learn in college. We didn't even get to high school. But now we're in this industry where you gotta survive. And for early rappers like us, even before us, like the Sugar Hill rappers, okay, Sugar Hill Records rappers, even before us, these dudes, Grandmaster Flash was the biggest thing. Like, you don't understand. When Flash came out cutting and scratching, that changed music. Okay, this was not just a hit record. The Adventures of Flash. Go back after you listen to this. Go listen to The Adventures of Grandmaster Flash on the Wheels of Steel. Go back and listen to that. That record changed everything. Okay, when Flash and Flash Cutting and Scratching was already out for a couple of years before that, but on record, like, this is where people get to hear it. You see it in the culture first. If you're part of the culture, you get to see that first. But then that thing you saw first somehow gets packaged up and sent out to the public. Now they get it, and they get the packaged version of it. They get one slice that's now going to get copied 1 million times. You saw the whole pie. As part of the culture, you had the whole pie right there. They took one slice of it and said, this is the whole of it, and sold it. Now we sitting here. So I mentioned this, Grandmaster Flash, he changed the way people looked at music, the way you played music, the way music sounded. That whole idea of rubbing the vinyl back and forth, that's a new sound. What is music? Organized sound. What is sound? Energy. Grandmaster Flash came and manipulated the energy of sound, because jigga 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 is supposed to be not music. He made jigga 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 and all that. That became music. Like, you would go zin, dun, 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 dun. He went jig jigga jig 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 jig, and everybody was like, "Word! I understand that." This is hip hop. That's hip hop. I'm talking about rap. Grandmaster Flash Cutting and Scratching changed hip hop. And then the world. Okay, then the whole globe. Why is there not every Guitar Center should have a plaque of Grandmaster Flash face in Guitar Center? They've made trillions on his idea. Now, if I'm lying and I'm wrong, turn this off right now and say this guy is bullshit. Okay? You ain't got to listen to this at all. I'm just speaking a truth that I know. Okay? I'm speaking the truth that I know. Okay? I know that Grandmaster Flash, now you could debate, oh, he stole it from this one. Oh, this one did it first.
Oh, the other one, okay, whatever. When we get in a closed room with a glass of wine, we can always debate any of these people, okay? We know what it is. But here's what I know for certain. There was no cutting and scratching before Grandmaster Flash. Now, we can debate all this other stuff. We can. But in hip-hop's actual and literal record, meaning the history of it and the records that were pressed, the actual vinyl records that were pressed, Grandmaster Flash, when he came out with the cut and the scratch, what he called the peekaboo even technique, this idea of queuing up records and then also cutting on time. The first loop, the first break where you cut the record on time. I'm rapping to the beat. That rap MCs weren't rapping to the beat before Keith Cowboy and Grandmaster Flash. Herc and others, their mixes were not seamless. Grandmaster Flash came and brought that out. Now, I will admit, though, and there's some argument about house DJs as well as disco DJs also having seamless mixes. But they were not, nobody was doing what, like in other words, your mix is going boom, 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 boom. Everybody else would blend in a boom, you hear some little some shit would happen. If Grandmaster Flash was like don't you never saw that. Okay, you never saw that. But now when Flash comes up and he's playing, he's doing his thing, and if he blows up all over the world, now everybody's like, yo, nah, he ain't the real guy. Nah, my man did it first. Nah, we was doing it over here. And nah, we was up the block and we was down the road. We can discuss that later. We can argue that part later. But what we know, okay, what we all know, whether it's true or not, too, by the way, because that's culture. Culture is folklore, myth, legend. This is what makes culture, okay? Myth, legend. So if we know that the credit from the culture is given to Grandmaster Flash and then Grand Wizard Theodore, father of the scratch. If we know that the cultural credit, whether it's true or not, we, the culture, have given them that accolade. Yo, this dude is this. It had to have come from somewhere. It had to. We didn't just name these people this and they wasn't doing that. They came from somewhere. And it's the culture. It's the culture's mythology. It's the culture's folklore. It's the culture's legend that gets the history started. We look at the legend, the folklore, we look at what the culture's saying about itself. Now the scholars go in and get the details now. Now we can learn about others that may have did this or may have did that, but we're never going to get there. You're never going to get to the details if you don't come to an agreement first. If you ain't coming to an agreement first as to what we all know, and that's why, and this is why legend and mythology and folklore works. Because we all have to agree that there is no, we all have to agree that there is a Santa Claus in order for us to agree that there isn't. But if some of y'all agree that there is a Santa Claus and others agree that there isn't a Santa Claus and others don't even know who Santa Claus is, we're standing around now for 50 years arguing a concept we know nothing about. Yeah. So you know, I'm looking at myself over here. Yeah, I probably need a towel too. Think of it. Sorry, y'all. My monitor is over here, and I'm getting hot. You should open that window. That's why I feel myself sweating here. But you know, so I say this as the first part, and what are we doing? We're making distinctions as we talk about what the vision and the goal is for the Temple of Hip Hop, and I'm giving you these cultural distinctions as to how we approach hip hop, how we come up with that knowledge, how we are approaching what it is that we're doing. And I'm giving these examples, Flash, others, and so on. You know, we know things. We know that there's certain things about our culture that we just know, and knowing them, knowing these things gives us a starting point. It gives us a starting point to discuss the deeper details, to get into the deeper details. And this is how all history is, because anybody who approaches a fresh culture or a culture that hasn't been organized already, this is what you're going to encounter. You're going to get a lot of little bits and snippets and fragments and pieces and this, that, and the other. And it's you, the scholars of the culture, again, which is why we separate ourselves and come over here so that we can really look at the culture for real. Then you go past the folklore, you go past the legend, you go past that now. We know what that is. 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx. Is that really the birthplace of hip hop? No, you can't. Culture does not have a birthplace. But we all know that Kool Herc started there at 1520. Everybody who was there says it is. We got documentation for the last 50 years that says that it was Kool Herc at the rec center at 1520 Sedgwick. Even some of the old ladies in the building remember Kool Herc parties. They come around, they say there was nothing like a Kool Herc party. You can see this, you can see that, you can hear this, you can hear that. Now, some people might not today, like today, now it's 50 years later, Herc done went to jail, he done got stabbed, he came back out, he's being honored now. He has a full life, Kool Herc. But people now, you may want to diss the legacy of Kool Herc because you don't know him or what his contribution is to what you are actually doing. And this is what destroys cultures all the time, and why the culture keepers have to maintain the culture and keep the culture in front of our youth. Because if they don't have anything to respect, it's going to damage them first. And when they're damaged, now the culture gets damaged. It's not the other way around where, you got to know hip hop so you can preserve hip hop. No, you are hip hop. You got to know hip hop because this is your legacy. This is your heritage. There's all types of other heritages out there, all types of legacies out there as well. But this one thing, this thing right here, hip hop, is yours. And this is what our young people need to understand. We as adults have to put that on their head. This belongs to you. You don't just study hip hop because it's fashionable in the world, or there's rappers out here, or that breaking may be in the Olympics, or graffiti art may be sold at, Christie's somewhere. No, that's not why. You don't get into your culture to use it and exploit it. You get into your culture because it's yours. It defines you. This is not about what I can get out of it. This is about what I could put into it to make it go, to help it to continue. So here we are, the architects of the culture itself, okay? And other architects are walking around. If we don't corner them and say, how did it happen? Ask the right questions, get the right answers, then hip hop is 300 years from now are not gonna, if we don't do this work now, while Herc is still walking around, everyone is still walking, not everyone, but most of the founders of hip hop that we talk about, Herc, Bam, Flash, Crazy Legs, Theodore, and others, they're still walking around. They're still walking around. And the urgency to our work is that they're not going to be walking around. So while we're all walking around, why don't we get the story right? That requires unity. That requires agreement. There has to be a place that we could go to, that we could stay there for a week if we needed to. We could sleep there. We could eat there. We don't have to leave here until we get our history right. There's a place that's a non-commercial place, a place where hip hop can meet and discuss itself without being exploited in the process, where the testimonies are confidential. This is the temple of hip hop. So So this idea of codifying hip hop, breaking MC and graffiti or DJing was huge for us. And it moved us forward. It helped us to start to see. But these times were chaotic. It was the crack era too. Came right out the coke era, went right into the crack era. It was wild, bloodshed, violence. It was crazy. During this time though, during these chaotic times, for hip hop, peace was the most important thing. Peace. And we was achieving it from the early 70s going up to now we're around the 90s. We're coming up on the 80s, not the 90s. Coming up on the 80s now. You know, Rapper's Delight is already out now. Sugar Hill Gang's out. Treacherous 3, Funky 4 Plus One More, Sequence, and others. They're all coming out now. And this is like, you know, 81, 82, 83, Run DMC, 84, LL Cool J, Fat Boys, that kind of thing. 85, you get Marley Marl, Shantae, Shan. 86, Juice Crew explodes with Kane, Biz, you know, and others. And Biz was down with Shantae before that. But, you know, right around 86, Juice Crew explodes with pretty much the blueprint for what would become MCing or rap, but the MCing version of it. Cool G Rap, Big Daddy Kane, Biz Markie, Roxanne Shantae. This is all out of one crew. Come on, Master Ace. These are the people that these were the go-tos. This was the flow. This was the flow. And if you wasn't part of the Juice Crew, you were sampling their music like us. Boogie Down Productions. Big up to Marley Marl on this. I will never give him the credit, but I have to. Because we was all sampling Marley Marl back in the days. And this was sampling first came out. Because Run DMC and LL Cool J's era, they were using the actual drum machine. It's where you get the 808, the TR-808, the 707, the Roland TR-808, the Roland 707, the 909. Those are later. They had the DMX drum machine. They had the emulator. They had like all these other type of machines and was making that sound that Run DMC had. They had a certain sound to what they were doing. We was looking for another sound. So we went and started with these samplers. Said G had his own sampler and was doing his thing. Marley Marl, though, was already out. MC Shan might be among the first artists, if not Shantae, to actually use a record sampling in that sense, because they came out with the sample sound, but it was already like anybody who go to Sam Ash, okay, in Manhattan, this is another culture, okay? There's a whole nother piece that's not being discussed. But there was a place called Sam Ash, or it actually still is. It's an electronic store, a place DJs go by, a place that musicians go to buy musical equipment. It's a music instrument store. Well, back in the days, there was a Sam Ash in Times Square, and every DJ that was a DJ used to hang out there at Sam Ash. They had two stores, actually, one across the street from each other, and you would go there and hang out. So any new stuff that came out, those salespeople were pushing it. So we all knew the samplers were out. We give the credit to Marley Marl. Marley, you're gonna take that credit as the father of sampling. But the machine was not created by Marley Marl. Okay, the actual sampling machine was not created by Marley. It wasn't created by none of us. It was a machine in a store, and it was a new machine. Some said SP12, some did it with other things, and there it is. And so Marley gets the machine, Said G gets the machine. Others get the machine too. Mantronics had one. I know Tricky T had the TR-808 with Mantronics, with that. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Everybody had their drum machines. But the way in which you manipulated it and what actually went down on record became the folklore, became the legend, became the myth of how this thing started. There were several producers that had drum machines that were sampling, and they sampled, and records probably came out in the future. They might be saying, "Nah, I was sampling back in the '60s." See, here we go now. But for hip hop now, but we know that when we first heard of sampling James Brown and stuff like that, Marley Marl was doing that with Shan and these guys. Everybody's name is missing me now, but the Juice Crew was already doing that. We have to remember that. We have to remember that. And you know why it's important also to remember that? Because Marley, Shantae, Shan Biz, Kane, Coogee Rap, Master Ace, and anybody else I might be forgetting, they all got children. You hear me? We all got children. What are these children supposed to do when they become our age? And they in the world. And these corporations that made trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars on us. And not one time did their parents ever sit back and say, but what is my child gonna get? Your child has eaten off of my work. What is my child supposed to get off my work? A royalty? A 2-cent, 3-cent royalty? This is why the Temple of Hip Hop exists. Because during the chaotic times when peace was the most important to hip hop, I wrote a song called Stop the Violence. You see, this is the culture, not just a song. The song is the commerce part, the rap industry part. I wrote a song called Stop the Violence. It was a hit song. 1, 2, 3, the crew is called BDP. I wrote that, put that together. That's the rap part of it. But why was it written? That's the hip hop part of it. Because we was blowing each other away in the street. Because we was having massive fights in the clubs. I wrote this song, Stop the Violence. The song Stop the Violence, written in 1988, next year, 1989, becomes the Stop the Violence movement. I'll spare you the whole story. Shout out to Ann Carly and Nelson George and D Nice and Dougie Fresh. 1989, we come out with the Stop the Violence movement and the song Self-Destruction. This influenced the West Coast anthem All in the Same Gang in 1990, and then Human Education Against Lies, HEAL, in 1991. In 1992, I realized that I was not just doing hip hop, but that I was hip hop. That rap was something we do while hip hop is something we live. This led to the I Am Hip Hop philosophy in 1992 and the Meeting of the Minds Conference in 1994, where hip hop was discussed as a culture for the first time. See, this is the part here. Discussed as culture for the first time. This is what you want. It was discussed as culture after that, but this first time is where the spirit comes on it now. This is where the culture comes together on its first time. Its cause, its historic gathering. Not all is gonna come after it. They're good too. We learned a lot. We did more conferences after, but this first one is the one that is going to set the tone now, even for all the others. So in 1994, we met at the Alphonse Schomburg Center for Black Studies in Harlem. Notice every move we're making is deliberate. You know, don't just throw around that word conscious. Are you really conscious? Are you awake? Are you hip to your heart? Are you really conscious? Well, we were. We was conscious since day one of what this hip hop is. And so we met at the Alphonse Schomburg Center for Black Studies right there. And we discussed, everybody's Crazy Legs, Hurt, Bam, Theodore, Hakeem Green, Wendy Day, all types of people was there. And we sat down and started to discuss the formation of hip hop as culture. It was here that we first talked about the preservation and proper documentation of hip hop as culture and as community. This is 1994, Alphonse Schomburg Center for Black Studies. It was at this meeting that I was entrusted, KRS-ONE, was entrusted to make the ideas of our meeting a reality. This was the vow. This is where it starts right here. It really started earlier for me with Boogie Down Productions earlier. And again, like I said, what Zulu Nation was doing, that started really over there. But by the time we get here, I had already gained a degree of cultural respect amongst these founders. And so even when I called the meeting, they came. Others might have even called meetings before me, but none of them came. In fact, within the gospel of hip hop, we document an argument between Crazy Legs and a woman named Miss Jacqueline Hines, who is credited as the first one with a hip hop museum, with the idea of a hip hop museum. And she said, I called all of y'all and nobody called me back. Nobody, So Crazy Legs responded and said, we don't even know you. And he made the comparison. He said, look, if Chris calls me, I'm going to come. If you call me, I don't know. I don't know you. I know Chris. I don't know. It was a very simple cultural response. Now you could debate it, and she did, and her response was dope too. Well, why would you do that? You don't just run to celebrity. And Crazy Legs was like, it's not celebrity. We know Chris. And so there was that part of the culture that nobody else could actually bring together. I recognized my role in the culture and how my peers felt about me. I didn't sit there and say, oh, y'all, I got this record called You Like Me. You like me. You like me. As long as I'm rapping, that, okay? I'm not saying it like, you're going to call me the teacher and you're going to say, yo, we love your songs and yo, you the dopest MC and all of that. And then I'm just going to sit back and be like, word. And that's where it stops. Yeah, word. No, with that kind of respect, you return to your brothers and sisters and you say, well, listen, if you see me as this, then let me manifest physically your idea. You see me as the teacher of the culture. You already see me as that. That's what I'm doing in the community. You heard me on record. You see me at the lecture. So by the time we get to 1994, I make a phone call. Crazy Legs is there. Herc is there. Bam is there. Everybody there. And I sat them down and I said, yo, how we supposed to do this? And at that meeting, I was entrusted to make all the ideas that we was going to come up with happen.
Right, that's the right word, a trust.
A trust.
That's me.
I was trusted. It was here that we not only approved the making of what would become the gospel of hip hop. I'm going to read you that transcription today. But it was here that hip hop first discussed the creation of its ministry, its museum, its archive, and its society and its school at this meeting, which is where we get ministry, archive, school, society. These were the fruits of what came out of the meeting. We said we need a ministry, we need a spiritual wing to this. We needed art, we need a museum, we need an archive. In fact, Jacqueline Hines specifically said museum, and Harry Allen specifically said archive. We all agreed that it was a school, and we said, what are we building? A new hip-hop society. All of this is transcribed. This is not, we made it up. We had a meeting, and everyone spoke out their mouth. We recorded it, transcribed the meeting, and put it in our book for guidance. Now, others may have forgotten what they said. But we as culture keepers, we can't forget what was said. We're working on what was said. What was said is the blueprint for what we get ready to go do. So we can't forget this. And again, this is a distinction between those who say, I'm down with the culture, and you say, I'm down with the culture out your mouth. Or you feel like you're down with the culture. So I'm down with hip hop. Word, this is my culture, this is what it is. There's a difference between them and somebody who's actually going to say, I'm down with this culture. What do we have to do to make this better? I'm down for whatever. And then it starts off with, if you come to an organization, say the Temple of Hip Hop, well, what about your membership? You want to do something? You want to put money towards something that's really going down? Put $100 a month down, $25 a week down on the Temple of Hip Hop. It's worth your money. We doing the work, and we preserving our culture. And we're not going to be tempted and lured and bullied into these other corporations taking our culture. It's not going to happen. So if you want that strong organization and you want to put something there, go ahead and do that with the Temple of Hip Hop. But I urge you to find or create your own hip hop organization that's doing this kind of work. It don't matter what we call this. It could be called Temple of Hip Hop. It could be called Doghouse. It could be called Pigeon Nest. It could be called anything, Rag. That's the name of the new movement, Rag. It don't matter. As long as what we're doing is remembering what was said, who said it, and what the intent was. We get that, we good to go. So that's what the temple's doing. We remember what was said. We recorded it visually and audioly. We wrote it down. And for the last 30 years, we've been working on this mission. So what we doing? So that's 94. So in 95, I was named master teacher, actually by several people, but the main one was Zulu Nation itself, gave me a whole plaque, the whole thing. And I was named Zulu. I was named master teacher in 1995. I wrote the first Science of Rap, and that's what really got it started as well, because other academicians started to see that hip hop had a teacher. And imagine, this was unheard of. This concept did not exist before me. There were no teachers for hip hop before me. Now, the dudes may have said, I'm a teacher, or I'm teaching, I'm thinking of the educated rapper MD will never fast. One of the most brilliant rhymes ever laid down. UTFO. Ridiculous. Even that, like UTFO's rhyme, that rhyme they had about Roxanne changed everything. Showed us what we can do with our mouths. Like, that was just crazy. Go back, listen to UTFO. But we can't forget that. In the commercial world, they're just going to say, oh, UTFO. It was just a record. And then Roxanne Shante, oh, it's just a record. No, this had the culture going. And not every record moves the culture. The culture listens to songs, be like, yo, that shit was dope. I love that shit. But certain songs define the culture. And you had to know which songs was just songs and which songs defined the attitude of the time. That's what we're here for. Because we remember that. So in 1995, we released The Science of Rap. I'm named master teacher, more burden. I'm running around now teaching, trying to convince people that hip hop is a culture, that hip hop is a teachable subject, that we should take hip hop more seriously. Nobody's listening. In fact, they laughing behind my back. You remember? They said they had all types of stuff to say. But I already received the word. So it don't matter what they talking about. We know exactly what we're supposed to do, and we're going to do it. That's 95. Of course, I release albums. I'm not even telling you, right, okay, whatever. Yeah, you can go back and look at the discography. I'm releasing albums, too, during this whole time. There's a whole thing with Premiere, Kid Capri's coming. There's all types of stuff going on within the rap world. We're killing the rap world right now. From, like, 93 to really the rest of the 90s. I mean, I don't even remember when we wasn't really terrorizing these fools, okay? But all through from 89, let's say from 87, from Criminal Minded to the new millennium, we have not stopped. We was non-stop, okay? Go back, check the record. Go back, listen to what I was saying on my records. Go back, look at the same groups of the same time. Go back and look at Billboard magazine and see what was the top 10, top 20. Go back and listen to what was being said. Then go back and listen to what I was saying. You'll see the distinction. Everyone wants to run away from the crystal now. You want to run away from the ice, the blood diamonds now. You want to run away from that now because it's not cool. But back then when we said it wasn't, we were called haters, remember? We trying to stop that bread, trying to stop the flow of the money, yo. It's all about money. I can't hear you unless you talking money. For the young people listening to me right now, that was your parents. That's why your shit fucked up. Because this is how your parents were acting. They didn't give two shits about the future. And I say that respectfully. I'm just only speaking the truth. So, you know, whoever wants to get mad can get mad. You ain't kicking my ass. You ain't busting my gun either. So, here's the truth for you. Go back. Look at the record, the literal records, the books written, the videos done. Go back and look at what everyone was saying. Look at the Source magazine. They documented the whole 10 years. The Source. And some. Go back to the Source, open it up, see who got 5 mics, see who was getting shitted on. See who got the cover and see who was buried somewhere. The Source is interesting when you read them all now because we bought them all. They're at the temple. And now you can see. They say, this one is the hottest thing ever. They pushing it on you. This is the hottest. This dude is the biggest. The motherfucker nowhere now. You don't even remember. There's so many groups. I'll be like, oh, word, remember, dude? The only way you remember him now is because he had an advertisement for his new single in the Source magazine. That shit came, went, gone. He played the game with the record company and didn't realize that's capitalism. All they gonna do is use you, chew you up, and spit your ass out when you ain't got no more flavor no more. And we saw it. Our parents told us that. James Brown and Parliament, George Clinton, and these dudes told us that. They said, these people ain't nobody to be trusted. Get with your culture. That turned out to be better for us than this corporate bullshit. No, nobody listened. So they went into the corporate bullshit. Where they at now? Respectfully, truthfully, in the spirit of educating our children. Forget us. What do you tell your kid? Yo, you know the way the true key to life is the ice on your neck. You should aspire to have diamonds and platinum before you have knowledge of yourself. You should aspire to want to be at the Grammys as opposed to in a church or a temple or a mosque or a synagogue. The synagogue call you, you ain't going. The mosque call you, you ain't going. Temple, churches call, Masonic lodges, none of this. Yoga centers, none. Not even on your mind. And these are the things that save your life. Life. Not entertainment. Not entertainment. But real culture. Your life. The life of your children. The life of your family. Your life is what's at stake. That's what these capitalists are taking from you. Your life. This is what the temple of hip hop is restoring to you. Your life. Don't let them take your life and take your legacy and take your heritage. Stand up. And that's what's happening. Too many of our brothers and sisters, they're not standing up. They're beat down. They're on the plantation thinking they were supposed to pick cotton. Or they were supposed to be at the Grammys. They were supposed to be on MTV. They were supposed to be at BET. They were supposed to be here and there. And these people are raping our culture every hour of the day. Turn me off right now and go watch them. And you can see, as I speak to you right now, they're raping our culture and slandering our cultural name globally. Right now, as I speak to you. XM Satellite has a show called Hip Hop Nation, where all they play all day is bitch, hoe, nigga, kill, 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 drugs, that's it. And refuse to change it. But hip hop is a subscribe to XM Satellite, so we paying for our own degradation. And look at the problem here too. They the only game in town. We didn't muster up enough sense in our own head to get our own satellite, our own hip hop satellite. We can't do that with all the rich hip hoppers and tech savvy hip hoppers and us connected to all types of people. We can't come up with our own satellite. We got to keep giving these people our value, our worth, our wealth. For them to turn around with the money we gave them and degrade our culture. Go listen to XM Satellite and go listen to Hip Hop Nation. It's the worst channel ever, okay, ever. Okay, I used to rag on New York radio. Nah, New York radio is nothing compared to this, okay? This is satellite radio. They don't even have commercials. They don't even have an excuse to do what they do. At least daytime radio is like, yo, we got to eat off these commercials. What you want us to do? We're going to push this bitch hoe nigga because these corporations want to see black people like that. So we got to do it. And you argue and you say, well, damn, man, come on, what about the kids? And well, we need this money. Oh, you go back and forth. But XM Satellite? There's no excuse. There's no excuse. Now, to go further with it, okay, these are people who claim they hip hop, claim they love the culture. Think about that. Think about that. Claim they love the culture. XM Satellite on all the other stations are great. All of them. All the other stations, meaning all the other music genres that's number 5. You ain't even, hip hop is number 1. Hip hop is 0. Okay, because we ain't even number 1 no more. We are all of these genres. You put on reggae, it's hip hop. You put on gospel, it's hip hop. You put on rock, it's hip hop. These people ain't doing the original, traditional aspects of these arts. All of these arts are hip hop now. All of them. But now the number 1 art on this channel is the one they want to degrade. The one they want to criminalize. The one they want to turn into some bitch hoe shit. That's what our daughters are supposed to be looking at all day long. This is what this is what our children, young men and young women are supposed to see hip hop as a bunch of idiots on the TV. No other culture is presenting themselves like this. And I'm saying hip hop, it's mostly black folk up there doing this. So maybe hip hop needs to rethink itself even beyond black people. Because these idiots are on the TV, they have no idea what they're doing. Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do. If we know there's a Malcolm X, and we know there's a Martin Luther King, we know there's a Medgar Evers, we know these men died for us to be free today. We know there's a Marcus Garvey. We know there's a Kwame Ture. We know there's a Black Panther Party. Fred Hampton was killed. We know this. And then we're going to get on the TV in front of the children whose parents, whose generation blew up our churches, killed our children in the church. You're going to allow them to present you as a person who has no care or concern for that. Well, if you can justify that, go right ahead. As I'm not judging you, I am not anything. It's just not me. It's just not me. And I was asked by the founders of this culture to put together a program, put together a strategy that would preserve our culture away from exploitation and so on. And in a lot of ways, the founders of this culture were brilliant in the sense of picking me. They were brilliant in the sense, of course, they saw my work, but they were brilliant in the sense of picking me. And why? Because even they themselves forgot what was said, and they knew I wouldn't forget. They themselves went off the mission at times. The founders of our culture went off the mission. I stayed on the mission, and they knew I was going to do that. You should know that too. You should know that I'm never going to front on this culture ever. We got work to do. That's the point. We got work to do. Our babies are at stake. So if nobody understands that, I'll be the only one then that understands it. Okay? I'll be the only, I'll sit here alone understanding it. Okay? Because we're going to do this work. We're going to do this work. And so we're continuing on. I mean, here's why the Temple of Hip Hop exists. Why? Because we knew that everybody was not going to be loyal to these ideas. It's like today, we're calling for hip-hopia, a section of land somewhere that hip-hop can actually be at, like Chinatown or Little Italy, or just our own city somewhere. We're moving toward that vision. I know everybody ain't with it. Some people look at that and say, I ain't supposed to do that. Other people like, it's bullshit. It don't matter what another person thinks in that way. Once you have been given the mandate, and by the way, it's of God and it's of your culture. God speaking through the culture, through your family, through your brothers and sisters. Yeah. So we take that and we take it seriously. And I know everybody's not going to take it seriously, but we are. We are going to take it seriously. So for those who, knowing that others was not going to take it seriously, we established in 1996 the Temple of Hip Hop. That was the whole point. A delineated space. Y'all not going to take hip hop seriously. Even though you telling me to take hip hop seriously, you're not going to take hip hop seriously. And we know this. So let's get this temple started. And those who are going to take hip hop seriously, we're going to rock this temple right now. Because that's the only name you can give this work. This is not a corporate thing. This is not for profit. This is not that. You have to believe in something. That's why we are a temple, because you got to believe. You got to have faith. You got to work on something that's not physically here, but you're going to bring it into physical manifestation. That's a temple. We are here to ensure that all of what we said at the beginning of hip hop was not forgotten, but made manifest. Not forgotten, but made manifest. Those are two different words, because some people haven't forgotten either. A lot of dudes, as a matter of fact, now since the 50th, everybody remembering what they did. We've been documenting hip hop for 49 years, okay? The last 30-something years, we were conscious of it, okay? We done called everybody, say, yo, we having a meeting, come down. Yo, we're doing this, come down. Books are getting, DVDs. No, but these dudes was nowhere. Nobody said anything. Nobody arrived anywhere. Nobody said nothing. All this time, I'm working with Marley Marl. Me and Marley did an album together. He never said one time he was the father of sampling. Okay, it's 50th year now. We all realize it, and not that just because you say I'm this now, I'm not ragging on you like you now just you making it up. No, you're not. But you're realizing that for 30 years you was asleep. That's what it is. You are the father of this. You are the mother of that. You did create this. You did create that. But for 30 years, you didn't think so. So now the 50th come around and everybody now remember it. Yeah, wait. Yeah, didn't I do this? Right. And didn't I say that? Right. Oh, yeah, I am.
I would say for 30 years it didn't mean anything. Now it means something.
Now it means something. So someone's going deeper and putting meaning to it. I ain't even go that far. But you can add that piece to it that now it means something. Right. For 30 years, it didn't mean anything to be a teacher. It didn't mean anything to be an icon pioneer. None of that shit meant anything. Okay. But now with the 50th, yeah, dudes getting money. Opportunities are coming by. People are realizing, and this is what I mean by this. This is what I mean about not forgotten and made manifest, is that we are coming into consciousness. That's the point, is that, yes, everybody coming up now saying, yeah, I did this and I did that. Word up. We need to hear from you. We need to rewrite this history with what we now know to be the facts. We need to come up with a whole new history now. In fact, hip-hop's history has not even been written yet. In fact, hip-hop has not even started yet. Think about that. Look how brilliant God is. Look how brilliant God is. How brilliant the spirit is. How fast it is. People say, oh man, the corporations took hip-hop. They made it corporate. Oh, it's commercialized. Oh, they took hip-hop. No, they didn't. This is the work of the pharaohs. Damn. Ooh, this is so good. Look at the brilliance of God. So in the pyramids, not the pyramids, in the temple tombs of Kemet, of Egypt, and Kush Nubia, in the tombs of the pharaohs, here's what they did to you. The pharaoh is the only one that was considered human too, by the way. You wasn't human until you slept with the pharaoh. I had some relation to the pharaoh. That's what made you human. Everybody else, they say they died like dogs. This is Egypt, okay? Is that everybody else, when you die, you don't come back. That's something to think about. Only those with the blood of the pharaoh was enjoying reincarnation. I don't hear no metaphysics. I don't hear no reincarnation books talking about that. They come with the Christian concept. We all got it. We all can partake. We all, if you just believe, we all things are gonna, nope, sorry. There was a certain bloodline to that immortality. And many of us have it. Many of us have it because it's been years. Mixed blood, war, rape, consensual marriages and all this stuff. The pharaoh's blood went out. But here's the point. Here's what I'm saying. So These people knew the future. They wrote and told you what was going to happen. So the Pharaoh goes into the tomb, the dead Pharaoh goes into the tomb. He already knows that you're going to rob the tomb. So the Pharaoh goes in, get this, puts the gold, silver, everything you desire, everything your little character, your little animal character desires, puts it right there for you. Because what he really don't want you to mess with is the knowledge on the walls. You're not hearing me. The thief runs into the temple, grabbing gold and silver. And the knowledge of immortality is on the wall. You're going to die with that gold, okay? You're going to die with whatever you come with. They ran in, took all the gold, took all the stuff. They were robbing Egyptian tombs for centuries, okay? Only when the Rosetta Stone was found, okay? The Rosetta Stone. This is the stone that it has three versions, 3 different languages on this stone. There's Old Egypt, Coptic. It has a modern Egypt language, and it has the Greek. And so that's called the Rosetta Stone. Weird story with that one too. But it wasn't until the Rosetta Stone that they was able to see the Greek and then transform. They would be able to read the Greek. They was able to read the other Egyptian hieroglyphs that was also written on the same tablet. That was years later, 1800s, they figured this out. Okay, they was robbing the tomb since Jesus' time. Okay, they in them tombs, okay? The Pharaoh knew you was coming to rob him. But what the Pharaoh didn't want you to have was the secret to immortality. They said, anybody who robs the tomb gonna die. You think it's a spell. Oh, he robbed the tomb and then he died. Nah, whoever robbed the tomb, you missed the message of immortality because of your character. You're not the Pharaoh. So here's your riches. Now go die. Those who understood, you don't think others went into the tomb and kept everything there? Only the grave robbers. See, this is how the colonists do. You make you think everybody a colonist. You don't think some other people went into the tomb, found their way into the tomb, and just read the walls? Left everything there. In fact, may have added stuff. How do we know that all the stuff in the Pharaoh's tomb was there when he was buried? We don't know that. The Pharaoh could have been there with the knowledge on the walls. And you had to go in there, sip a tea. Woo! Something go in your mouth. Boom! You join the Pharaoh and he explains to you what's on the wall, and you have to leave something there, like gold or silver or something, a pottery or something you leave for the Pharaoh. How do you know that that's not what happened? Nobody knows nothing, too, by the way. Let me add that to it as well. All of Egyptology is theory. All of it. Nobody know nothing. So why we can't conjecture? Why we can't come up with theories? Since nobody knows nothing, why don't we come up with a theory about our own ancestors? You mean to tell me these fools don't even know your ancestors? In fact, they robbed them. And I'm not just talking about black people. I'm talking about hip hop, white people. These colonists robbed your ancestors. Irish, stand up. English, stand up. These people robbed you. Rearranged your culture. Czech Republic, stand up. Poland, stand up. Come on now. These people, white, they didn't think you was human. Come on now, this is what it is. Italians, you know you just became white. Like last week, okay? Y'all were black at one time. Y'all was considered black folk like us. Okay, now, these northern Italians is taking out, you know your own story. I ain't got to sit here and tell you your story. What's my story? The story is this. I'm talking about hip hop. fuck a race. I'm talking about all of us who are united. If you notice, everybody in hip hop feels the oppression. Those who don't feel the oppression, they not in hip hop. They may rap, but they not part of the culture that's struggling. They may appear on TV and be rich or this, that, and the other, or whatever it is, but you're not struggling with the culture. You're not struggling. So how can you know it? How can you know it? When my people don't eat, I don't eat. Whatever you do to hip hop, somehow I get affected by it. Others, they could diss hip hop. You still getting your money, right? People could disrespect hip hop all day. You still good though, right? It's not like that for me. When you diss my culture, you diss me. When you take money out the culture, you take money out my mouth and my family's mouth. We live this. We're not gonna sit back and let somebody rob us of how we eat. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm saying is like really try to make these distinctions because it'll help you understand where you at with it. Where you at with it? If they damage hip hop, are you still good? Or if they damage hip hop, you damage too. If hip hop has a victory, are you left out of it? Hip hop wins on its own, but you over here, you can't even partake in the victory. You say you hip hop, but what goes on in hip hop doesn't affect you, good or bad, just don't affect you. How could you be part of the culture? This is the distinction between real and fake, original and copy, cause and effect, right and wrong. Now, if we're not man enough and woman enough to stand up and speak the truth, then you deserve to be a slave. You deserve to work for these people. And so we don't argue. What's there to argue? Here it is. There it is. And during slavery time, there was those who worked on the plantation and was very comfortable with their situation. And then there were others. That was Harriet Tubman, Nat Turner, and Frederick Douglass. Who are you? There's no judgment here. No judgment. Just who are you? Which is also the point to your culture, to show you who you are in it. This is the point to culture. It gives you identity. What's your identity? What do you identify with? I identify with hip hop. And I get nervous about hip hop when I see people trying to steal it and rob it and denigrate it and criminalize it. I feel it. And so I react. People could diss your culture and you don't feel it? I don't know. I feel it. People could criminalize your culture and you don't feel it? They could rape your culture, rape your mother, and you never avenge that. See, in ancient times, these were the marks of courage, adulthood, intelligence. You know, not a book. You didn't read a book. It was some dude came and slapped your sister. Everybody saw it. The question is not the dude. The question is, what you gonna do? He already did his deal. He came and slapped your mother in her face and walked off, and you standing right there. Now, either this dude is bigger than you, he can overpower you, whatever it is, so somehow you can't protect your mother right now. There's places, there's things like that, where at that moment, I can't move. You got me right now. You got that. But what about the next day? And the day after that? And the day after that? And the day after that? You mean to tell me that when, say, the Queen of England, now, this is what I say, I'll make the comparison but it's only showing you how I feel about hip hop. It may not be in reality, may not. But it's my reality. This, they said, I was going to say the Queen of England. Let me bring it down to an actor. When certain famous actors die, they're lauded over all over the news for that day. I mentioned queens, senators, governors, you know, and famous actors, famous athletes, famous artists, musicians, and so on. When they pass, they play all their music. They you know, we remember them. We remember them. And every once in a while, we may even call their names back up so that we don't forget them. Now that's standard in American culture. So what happened to Black Rob? What happened to Black Rob? What happened to Biz Markie? Shock G? These men just died. I don't even remember seeing Biz mentioned on CNN or Fox or any. Maybe he was and I didn't see it. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But I guarantee you they mentioned it once, maybe twice. He didn't get. Hip hop is the #1 music in the world, okay? Most streams, #1, the top of all music streamed in the world is rap. One of the icons of rap passes. And I'm not talking about Shock G or Biz. Let's start with Black Rob, one of the icons of rap music. Whoa. With the whoa. Throw that on right now, the whole party up. He couldn't get the same kind of respect. He couldn't get that. Every year one of our rappers die. Every year the BET Award ignores them. Every year there should be a section of the BET Awards, the BET Hip Hop Awards, where we honor those who have passed on. Where's our ancestors? When do we honor those who have passed on? What award do we give them when they pass on? There should be an acknowledgement to the family, a certificate to the family that we acknowledge and love and a royalty to the family maybe. Y'all making millions, billions, trillions of dollars off our culture. Then one of us pass and the family can't even afford the funeral. How is that possible? How is that possible? I didn't hear much on DMX. And I'm saying, there's a documentary done. Of course, Rough Riders doing their thing. But I'm talking about CNN didn't hold my dude up and say this was one of the most prolific. Now let's listen to his lyrics. All my bitches, all my niggas, all my... They're never going to do that. They're never, ever going to play that. Okay? DMX, stop, drop, shut them down, open up shop. What? He's just supposed to die, right? And no community is ever supposed to deify him and say a saint. He's a saint in our culture. In our culture, this is what he did for us. And then on top of that, here's what we're going to do for his family. Here's the legacy his children can rest upon. Where does DMX children go? To claim a heritage, to sit with dignity and pride in a room where everybody's sitting here is somebody. We may not be nobody to MTV. We may not be nobody to BET. But in this room right here, You somebody, and we understand who you are. You didn't have to sell 1 million records or shake your ass for the white establishment. What you did was your father and your mother was recognized in a temple. So it don't matter how many records they sold. It don't matter who they influenced in the commercial world. You, the kid, we remember you. You are a legacy holder. We remember you. Where's the children of Shock G? Where's Bismarcky's children? Where's his legacy? This is what we are concerned with. And we're not going to let our brothers and sisters just die and nobody honors them. Nobody remembers them. Their picture doesn't hang somewhere where thousands and millions of people are coming through. That's what the Temple of Hip Hop is about. Again, we're going to hang all our brothers and sisters up. Not whether you sold 1 million records. We're gonna hang up everybody who influenced the culture. And with a story. So everybody who comes through the temple to see the exhibit, see what we doing, you're gonna learn about people you never even heard about or may have never heard about. But when you come here, you're gonna leave like, yo, I know the culture now. I don't have to just keep looking at the popular rapper. I heard Lord Finesse. I heard Lord Finesse. I heard Black Sheep. I heard Nice and Smooth. I heard DOS Effects. Do you realize the impact that DOS Effects had on rap music? It's so deep it might have affected hip hop's culture. But do you understand what that bump skiddity bump skiddity bump bump? I got that rump bump 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 bump, but I can feet fire folk thickety dump thickety. What? Are you stupid? Then nobody was rhyming like that. And of course, you throw the record on today, the party's up. Where is DOS Effects on any of these museums and exhibits and whatever these people are doing to commercialize our culture? Where's DOS Effects and their full stories? This is what I'm talking about. When you with the culture, you understand that if I'm going to put Slick Rick up there, and somebody would say, if you got to put Slick Rick, you're going to put Dougie Fresh. That's the culture. No, it's not. If you put Slick Rick up there, you got to put Mandy up there, his wife and manager. That's the culture. You put Dougie up there, you got to put Mary up there. Culture. You put Rakim up, you got to put Matt up. You put Kane up, you got to put Saquon up. You put Light up, you got to put Gail. No. Lynn. I'm sorry, Lynn. But I'm saying all these names that are stuck in my head. But I'm saying that culturally, if you know the culture, you know that it ain't about MC Light only. You know it ain't about KRS only. But if you stuck on some fan shit where you just looking and say, oh, that's my favorite rapper. So you don't see the manager. You don't see the story that goes with that person, the culture, the folklore, the legend, how he got there, who helped them get there. None of that is irrelevant. None of the people get heard. And that doesn't strengthen the culture. If all you see is rappers in a hip hop exhibit, get it, rappers in a hip hop exhibit, then what you're seeing is exploitation. Because the curator does not know hip hop. So why are you even trying to preserve it? Why are you even trying to present it? What are you doing? I'm eating off of it. I'm capitalizing on it.
Right, and people may be misinterpreting. Even if you're a big enough star, they'll exploit you in your death.
Of course.
But then that's it. And then if you look at others like Elvis, there'll be documentaries on Elvis forever. New ones, revised.
Broadway plays.
Right, everything.
Documentaries and books.
Forever.
Forever on Elvis.
And because of the institutions that now have taken that over, the culture of rock will never benefit from that exploitation that's going to continue. And this is the point, is that hip hop, these institutions are currently right now trying to co-opt the culture to make it look as though they were supportive, so that then in the future, because these institutions will be around for hundreds of years, that then they can turn around and reproduce it later. So everybody should realize, no, of course they'll give you a maybe a day, but again, it's not heartfelt. It's not real. It's literally for ratings, exploitation. They know that they can use this to make their show better. But next year, no word of you. Year after, no word of you. 10 years down the line, no word of you. They waiting for the next person to die. And then they also are archiving, and this is the problem with showing up and being a part of their exploitation. Now they have your image and likeness that they can use forever.
And you can't get it. If anybody went back right now and said, yo, I need to use a copy of my performance at the Grammys, I'm doing my own documentary, they'll say no. They'll say no. None of them people performing has the rights to what they just did. None of them. In fact, they all signed off their rights. You could not be on that television unless you signed a piece of paper beforehand. They don't play that. But did anybody issue the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace to them and say, you sign this first and then we'll sign yours? No, we're not even thinking about that. And that's why the Temple of Hip Hop exists. Well said, Son One, well said. That, yeah, they'll use you and use your death. Look at that. And use you in life and use you in death. When does the temple, not the temple, but when does hip hop create its own temple for those who are to pass? And guess what? Those who are born. Who documents the births into hip hop so that our children can receive the benefits of a long lineage. Any benefit we get in that lineage, our children could benefit. Things like healthcare. You know, hip hop can have its own healthcare system. But we ain't got to worry about none of that. Why we don't have it? Because we need to get with this leadership. We need to get with these principles. We need to get with what we believe about ourselves and what's possible for us. So from 1997 to 1998, we took a research census of the entire hip hop community. We let everyone, this is what I'm saying again, this is 98. We announced this to everybody. In 97 to 98, look at what I did. First of all, I had the biggest record in the world. I was number 2 in the world. The record's called Step Into a World. The record rose to about, to be number 2 on the pop chart in the world. On the record, when you bought the record, whether it was the single or the album, you got a registration and questionnaire from the Temple of Hip Hop in the album, okay? You pulled it out, and it asked you questions like, what are the positive points to hip hop? What's the negative points to hip hop? Where should we be going? What is hip hop? Who are you? All types of information on that. So this record sold, well, in the first 2 weeks, it was like 750,000 copies. And then, of course, it went on to sell more. But what we got back in terms of mail, okay, we got back 80,000 of these registrations. Now, that's like 10% almost. Our first thing was 750,000. Let's round it off to 800,000. And we got back 80,000 registrations out of 800,000. We got back 80,000. So we started going through that. Okay, this is what began our body of knowledge. This is what began it. Not just what the founders were saying, but what the people said. What the people themselves who were participating in hip hop, what they said. And the responses were overwhelming. We're going to set up our library. We're setting up our library at the temple right now. And one of the things is data entry, where we're going to have to sit there and put into a computer almost 100,000 registrations. And reason being, and write down the responses, because once it's in the computer, you can ask certain questions How many was this? How many was that? Out of all the answers, what's the basic answer? Well, we did this by hand. I alone did it. I was looking at like 20,000 registrations myself out of the 80 and put together what I saw was what the founders were saying, what everybody else was saying, and it all came down to the point where we were saying we are hip hop. People from all over the world were saying it's a lifestyle, it's the way you think, it's the way you act, it's this and that. We didn't come with no knowledge yet. We didn't come with the gospel wasn't written, none of this. We're looking for knowledge. Everybody came back. It's a lifestyle, it's the way you act, it's the way you think. Dudes went into breaking, MCing, graffiti art, DJing, beatboxing, fashion, language, knowledge, entrepreneur. That's where we get the 9 elements. This is what people were coming back to us with. Yo, hip hop is this. Yo, hip hop is that. And we started to form our body of knowledge. Thousands of people participated in this registration and questionnaire. And keep in mind, during this time, 1998, rap music had mostly abandoned the original elements of breaking, MC, and graffiti art and DJing and beatboxing. Now, we don't think of it like this, but around 98, none of this was cool. If you was doing, say for instance, beatboxing, you was underground. You was underground. Dougie Fresh was a legend by then. But the ones who like Click the Super Latin, Rozelle, Drez the Beatnik out in Atlanta, like them, they were considered underground, but they would do, and shout out to JS1 as well on with Rozelle. They was considered underground. Rozelle was killing it through the 90. Well, I gotta remember, I don't know, I forget when Rozelle, we should look at it, see when Rozelle was coming. But in 1998, if you was beatboxing, or if you was in a cypher, MC cypher, or if you was freestyling like Supernatural in them, and so on, you was considered underground. Mainstream wasn't checking for us at all. If you was a battle MC, I remember because of the East Coast, West Coast battle, I guess, it wasn't even East Coast, because of the, let me be accurate in history, the Bad Boy Death Row battle, which flowered up into an East Coast, West Coast kind of thing, or West Coast, East Coast kind of thing. Death Row, West Coast, Bad Boy, East Coast. That was going on as well, or had went on really by this time. You know, we're experiencing these traumatic events within hip hop. And a lot of the elements were ignored. Breaking, nobody was doing it. People didn't even want to stand in front of graffiti art because they said, oh, that's old, man. You know, hip hop was on some new. And like I said, go back and look at the records. Go back and look at the records. Look at what BET was pushing as hip hop. And then go back and listen to Rozelle. Go back and listen to Smith & Wesson. And
he's 95 and up.
It's 95 and up, Rozelle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought I heard Rozelle in 98. But right around this time, like you said, 95, right, going forward. It was, all of that was underground. So the point of the matter is that those of us who are responding to the preservation of hip hop, this is why we are writing records, art, so on. This is the meaning to it. We're not doing this to get money from it. We're doing it because we're trying to preserve a culture. Now, to preserve a culture, you got to get some money. No problem. So you got to be the best at what you do. Not run to a record company and beg for a loan. Not get in bed with somebody who you know going to exploit you and your culture. No, we didn't have to do that. We said, let's just be the best at what we do. And the money will come. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. We honed in on hip hop and mastered it. When we started mastering hip hop and started smacking around these whack ass rappers, because see, that's another thing too. See, a lot of that stuff is not filmed. I have some of it. But every day, like like I'm talking about our everyday, where stuff is just not caught on camera. No, we smacked a lot of these rappers around straight up, physically and mentally. Don't get it twisted. Ain't no punk pussy shit over here, okay? Talk that shit and we coming for you. So just know that, okay? That's another piece as well. Because people said, KRS is contradicting himself. Yo, he's supposed to be headed to stop the violence movement, but yeah, he walking around with a black Glock. What's wrong with this dude? And that was my point. And I said, no, peace is stronger than war. Love is stronger than hate. Unity is stronger than disunity. So I'm preaching peace and love. Now here comes war and hate. And you think you're going to try to diss me? You think you're going to play me? Nah, now you on your back. Now I threw your ass off the stage. Now we met in armed battle on the stage with a normal, you got your ass spanked. Because the real culture is here. And I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. That's the thing. Somebody's over there. I'm not the only one. And that's what we call, this is where we bring our temple together. That's why we bring our temple together. Because I struggled on my own for 30 years with this attitude. I didn't have a temple that I could go into. Imagine if Kool Herc had a temple, the Temple of Herc, or the Temple of Hip Hop that was started by Kool Herc. Then we all would have a place to go to and learn and even deposit knowledge there. But no, that's why our temple is here. Because no, we're willing to fight for our culture. We're willing to fight for our culture. And I don't know that everybody else is not willing to fight for their culture. They're not willing to fight for hip hop. We're willing to fight for hip hop on any level you think of. We're willing to go there with you when it comes to this culture. Now, there's a group of people with me that think the same way. We are going to keep to ourselves over in our temple, and that's it. Now, if you want to join that community, come on over here, and we can get and you'll see the real for what it really is. And there's opportunity over here because we tour on our own. We make our own records. We do our own graffiti murals. We practice our breaking. We do what we do. You know how I get down at these tours, on these tours as well. We book our own tours. We go out, we do our thing. We don't need these people for nothing. And the point is that you should be able to come to a place where you don't need these people for nothing. And the reason it's taken so long for us to arrive here is not only because we're on God time as well. It comes at the right time in the right place. But also because a lot of the founders of hip hop, the pioneers of hip hop, they still don't know who they are. They still don't know. Many are waking up. Many are coming into consciousness. Many are saying, yes, I realize I'm the this and I'm the that, and rightfully so. But now it's only this year that you realized it. So now we got to wait 5, 6, 7, 10 more years for you to actually now put the jacket on, for you to actually walk like a cultural icon. Walk with a knowledge of yourself as hip hop. No, that's going to take now another 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And that's why I say hip hop is 60, 2033. That's when the culture will be born. That's when let me finish. Right. You just brought me back. Why you ain't tell me? Bring me back to what I was saying. The Pharaoh. And I'm going to get off that and come back here. The Pharaoh. So, and I think I made the point that the knowledge was on the wall. The true value was the knowledge of immortality on the wall, not the jewels and stuff and the gold and all of that was buried with the Pharaoh. And I say that, to say that that the real value of hip hop is to be it. It's not what you get out of it. That's the value. That's the gravy of it. The real value to hip hop is when you are it. Now you free and fuck these people and they bullshit. bring your spear out because you the culture itself. You don't have to imitate it. You don't have to, if you part of the temple of hip hop, you are the culture. No matter who you are, age, race, ethnicity, none of that matters. If you part of this temple of hip hop, you are doing the work to preserve the culture. There's no way around it. If you join the Nazi party, you're doing the work of Nazis. If you join a basketball team, you doing the work of the basketball team. You ain't got to create the Lakers. Who is it? LeBron James, right? Was he on the Lakers?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't make the Lakers. Okay, Magic Johnson did. No, no, he didn't make the Lakers. Neither did Magic Johnson. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar made the Lakers, really. But no, none of these people made the team. But when they got on the team, you can see we can't even call the Lakers without Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We can't even call Lakers without Magic, without LeBron, without everybody else that was down, and so on. So my point is this: by being part of the temple of hip hop, you already doing the work. You're on the winning team. You don't have to deal with these people, and we're showing you that you don't. So again, temple members, if you're going to sit there and just listen to me like good music, then fine, take it as entertainment. But what I'm saying to you is your liberation from this corporate exploitation. You don't have to sign with anybody for you to eat and have global recognition off of your own talents. You don't have to sign with nobody. You don't have to give your talent away. You do not have to be exploited to be heard and make a little money. We used to have to do that. A lot of dudes are doing it now. But with the creation of the Temple of Hip Hop, we have a place that we can go to that's a sacred space that you can get your opportunities, your money, your global recognition, knowledge of yourself, friends and peers that do what you do, and you are part of the continuation of hip hop from the very beginning. You can't beat that bargain. And guess what? All of this is free, too, by the way. All of this is free. All of it. I say all the time, steal your copy of the gospel if you real hip hop. Now, let me stop. There might be kids on the thing. No, I'm not promoting theft and stealing. No, I'm not. However, get yourself a copy of the gospel of hip hop, because in that is the attitude, the knowledge of how to be independent as a hip hopper. How to be independent. And so let me continue this and read this. Let me see my time as well.
2:13.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Let me just finish this out. As a matter of fact, you know what I want to do?
Well, and let's make a distinction. Temple of Hip Hop is the place to get your life started.
Word.
Not your career, but your life, which may have something to do with your career.
It's the life of your career.
Yes,
in fact, the temple, the gospel discusses the fact that nobody ever became successful or a failure based on their talent.
Right.
You become a failure or a success based on your character. This is what we teach it. You could be the wackest rapper ever. Okay? But if you understand, that's what's going on. Oh man, I'm bugging. Okay, let me. I'm going off on it too much. Okay. Well, let me hit you with this real quick. Okay, here we go. And I was going to read straight through because I did want to get to the gospel, and we're already up to 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
Right. I usually try to take it up to 3. But I hope you guys are getting what it is that I'm saying today about the attitude of independence, why the Temple of Hip Hop exists. And be clear with this attitude, because that's what hip hop is, an attitude, a way to be, a behavior. And if you don't have this way to be, but you could just rap, then you will be taken advantage of. Because the originators of rap were I mean, we were street people. We were street people. And we wasn't taking no shit from nobody. Now, if you some punk ass dude that heard somebody rap and you feel you could just rap, but you're not willing to fight, then you don't understand hip hop. You just taking what you think you can use of the culture, and that's what you're gonna run with. But always remember that real b-boys that originally did the b-boy, that's gang culture. It's not all gang culture, but that's a large part of it. These dudes were ready to scrap for theirs. Graffiti artists had to actually fight a literal war with New York, Mayor Koch. Go back and watch Star Wars. It's actually documented. The war between graffiti writers. No, if you're not willing to fight for your culture, then you're not the culture. I mean, it's really just that simple. And fighting for the culture don't always mean pointing a finger at somebody else or saying this is, somebody else. No, fighting for the culture sometimes means fighting your own inner fears, fighting your own doubts about yourself, fighting your own fear and doubt and disbelief, fighting your own stuff. Are you willing to fight for the culture? Are you willing to overcome those parts about yourself that you know is holding you back and holding the culture back? So during this time, 1997, 98, 99, the idea of preserving hip hop as culture then manifested in 1998 as Hip Hop Appreciation Week, every third week in May. At the turn of the century, 2000 to 2001, at the dawn of the new millennium, at the beginning of the age of Aquarius, we announced the birth of a new civilization called hip hop, the birth of a new culture in the world. Now, stop here for a minute, because I want you to get this. At the temple of hip hop, we are focused on hip hop astronomically, as well as, philosophically. When we say we approach hip hop philosophically, this includes astronomy, chemistry, etymology of words, this kind of thing. And so it was important for us at the turn of the century, like in 1999, remember Prince made a record called I'm Gonna Party Till Like It's 1999. He did this whole record. Because from 1999 back, everybody thought the world was gonna end. The world was supposed to end twice. And we forgot about it now because it was so ridiculous. But it was a big deal going into 1999, 2000. It was called Y2K. And all of our dependence on computers by this time was going to be washed away because the computers they only calculated the computers to go to 1999, and all the computers were supposed to stop. This was so stupid and ridiculous, but people believed it. It was the temple of hip hop that told hip hoppers that's some bullshit. Get that off your mind. We was out there preaching. Okay, dudes was looking at us like we was crazy. We was out there telling them, yo, you're gonna survive. In fact, what we gotta do is prepare for the new millennium. I did a rhyme. Matter of fact, I think it's on the I Got Next album, which is where Step Into a World was. It says, we are the ones prophesied to return. My main concern is for all of you to learn how to live. Yes, through the lyrics I give and send, my friend. This age is coming to an end. Not the world, but the age is ending. Listen to the astrological message I'm sending. Truth is truth, whether or not you like me. We are living now in the age of Pisces. But Pisces is over at the year 2000, when the Son of God changes its house and enters the age of Aquarius. The Son of God as man is hilarious. When you think of Jesus, think of the sun, the flaming sun. That's where they stole this concept from. Stop believing and read your Bible logically. The New Testament is really old astrology. That was said in 1997 on a platinum album. You all heard the message. The Temple of Hip Hop made it clear. Clear. This is what we're doing. And anybody who want to get down, y'all can get down. But we was already looking at the stars. And this is the point, is to saying, so we knew we were coming up on the age of Aquarius. So we started gathering all the spiritual knowledge in the world that had something to do with the changing of this age. And we made sure that hip hop as culture was grounded in the timeless cycles of the universe, of the planet, and of nature. We made sure of that. Now, everybody else in 2000 was, go back, like I said, go back and look at the top 10 of Billboard magazine. Then go and look and see what we were doing during the same time. Distinction, that's all. So now, at the birth of we announced a new civilization. At the birth of this new millennium, that's when you announce new civilizations. Your civilization does not have universal authority. It can't draw from the universe if it's not in harmony with it. We made sure that hip hop was in harmony with the universe. This is the reason why we go 61 to 71, 71 to 81, 81 to 91, 91 to 2001. These are astrological dates and positions every 10 years. That's how we know that the 60th year is when hip hop is going to be actually be made. And all this commercial shit goes away. It goes away. They're getting trapped right now. That's what my story was with the Pharaoh. God already outsmarted him. God said, I'm going to make a culture so magnificent on this earth and save my people. But I know you greedy capitalists are going to want to rape the culture for everything. No problem. What we're going to do is, and look at what actually happened. We're going to start with a guy named Kool Herc. And then at the same time, we're going to put the teacher of the culture next to him, in the building next to him. You can't make this up. Okay, you can't make this up. He said, God said, we know what Kool Herc gonna do. And we know what this line is going to do. This gonna be the biggest line you ever seen in your life. Okay, it's gonna be called rap. And these dudes on this Kool Herc side with these DJs and this art, they're gonna take the whole world. But there's this other little dude over here who's going to study all the philosophies and metaphysical knowledge and sociology and civilization and psychology. And he's going to spend his time doing that. And he's going to grow up in the culture himself. He's going to be a graffiti writer. He's going to have the dopest rhymes. He's going to be out. And then he's going to call himself knowledge reigning supreme. You cannot make this up. This is what happened. This is the only thing that happened. Now, the culture goes through its commercialism, rip-offs, rapes, robberies. The culture goes through it. But over here, parallel with the culture, is this other thing, the real culture over here. How do we know it's the real culture? Because all the dudes over here recognize it. Herc, Bam, Flash, Crazy Legs, Theodore, you name it. Tony, Kaz, everybody, as we're growing up, you see the work over here. You see the work. You know this work is the work. You feel it in your blood. You contributed to the work. You know the work is the work. So you said to the guy, to the teacher, here's what happened. Gubba, 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 gubba. You telling it to this guy. So it goes up. God said, I got you guys. For the first 50 years, y'all gonna rip off the culture. You're gonna get all that you want, right? Money, bling, house, car, everything. Y'all gonna get everything you want. Then in the 50th year, none of that shit gonna matter. And for the next 10 years, only culture will matter. Mark my words here today. We're going to play this back 10 years from now, okay? From this day forward, only culture matters. You see it. You see it. You feel the breeze coming. Only culture matters. That corporate shit is over. Okay, the world is growing up. Our children who you tried to give blood diamonds to, they realized you was lying to them. Our children who see our mothers portrayed as prostitutes and whores on TV, they're growing up and they're realizing that ain't my mother. That ain't what my grandmother told me. Now we're seeing, now the generation is growing up. And guess what? The culture grows up with you. Right when you come in, what's the word? When the student is ready, the teacher shall appear. When the student is ready. Not when the teacher's ready. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. Because the student now has a realization as to what's important, what's valuable, what's real. And when you look for that, you look for your teacher. You look for your knowledge. You look for facts. You look for evidence. You look for truth. All that's with a teacher. That's not with a music executive. That's not with a journalist. That's not with a CEO. That's not with a boss. That is your teacher. Distinction, that's all. Just a distinction. The teacher is ordained by the culture. That's where I eat. That's what I'm loyal to. That's my shelter. That's where I'm at. I don't have nothing else. I don't want nothing else. Hip hop is enough for me. Now I know that might sound crazy to some people. How can hip hop be enough for you? It is. It's all I need. It don't take much to run KRS-ONE. I don't need much, okay? It don't take much to run. A sandwich from Subways or somewhere, actually Jersey Mike's, really. But, you know, a sandwich from someplace, you know, that's enough for me. That's enough for me. We live according to our means. And what is our means? Peace, love, unity, and safely having fun. Do those things cost anything? What does peace cost? What does love cost? What is me coming with you and you coming to me? What is us supporting each other in unity? What does that cost? It doesn't cost anything. But without peace, without love, without unity, without some kind of joy in your life, you can't do this work. You can't do this work. You don't do this work and then get peace, love, unity, and joy. You do this work because you have peace, love, unity, and joy. And you spread it out to your community. So at the turn of the new millennium, or at 2000, and this was specific, I want y'all to know this, at the turn of the new millennium, we went to the United Nations headquarters. That was specific. We arrived at the United Nations headquarters to deliver hip hop as an international culture of peace and prosperity. May 16, 2001. It was here that we presented what was called the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace. Look at this. We're at the United Nations, sponsored by UNESCO, the United Nations Scientific, Cultural, and, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. We wanted UNESCO in particular because they are the ones that recognize cultures in the world. We presented our Hip Hop Declaration of Peace. UNESCO was impressed. They then sponsored us into the United Nations to make our statement. We made our statement that hip hop is a new culture and civilization in the earth. We made it at the United Nations because that's where you want to make those kind of proclamations, at the United Nations. Again, Kool Herc was there, Zulu Nation was there, others, DXT, Chuck D, Roxanne Shante, a whole host of journalists, all kinds of pioneers were there in the building. Breakers, MCs, graffiti writers, DJs, everybody was there, or representing somebody there. We all signed the document, the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace document. We all signed it. It outlines what hip hop, it outlined our conduct. And we all agreed at the United Nations that this was the conduct that we all wanted to exemplify. You remember, the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace began as 32 paragraphs from 32 different hip hoppers. Everybody wrote. Everybody had something to do with the writing of this. That's why today you look at it and say people forgot what they did. They forgot what they wrote. They forgot what they said. But we didn't. And we're here to remind you, not as a criticism, but as knowledge. Be reminded, this is what you did. It was here that we presented the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace, which again, hip hop's actual founders, foremothers and forefathers, reaffirmed our commitment to the preservation of hip hop as culture. This was our work, and this has been happening for 30 years now. This is what we do. While others argued amongst themselves, we, the Temple of Hip Hop, united amongst ourselves to get this work done. Such work is obviously not for everyone, and this is also where the confusion and the so-called controversies arise. You see, people play too many games with hip hop, and that might be cool for them. But for those of us who are entrusted or trusted with the actual preservation and further development of hip hop as culture, for real, for those of us, we don't have the luxury of being hip hop one day and then not being hip hop the next, or being hip hop when it's convenient or when there's something to get out of it. Some of us are going to have to keep it real with hip hop. Some of us are going to have to keep it real with what the original intent was. And this is why our Temple of Hip Hop exists. Not only are we serious about the preservation of original hip hop and the manifestation of what was originally said regarding its further development, but this is also about the building of heritage, lineage, and tradition, something that too many people today just don't have. With hip hop, we have an opportunity to create an empowering and satisfying heritage that future hip hoppers will be able to rely upon for enhanced health, love, awareness, and wealth. This is the actual preservation and further development of our culture. It is to develop our own internal continuation of ourselves, which is commonly called tradition. It's simple. Instead of complaining about the loss of our ancient civilizations, let us build a new and better civilization right now with hip hop. And again, this work is not for everybody. So there is no judgment here. Our only judgment here is to ourselves. Our only critique is to ourselves. Are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? We were given a mandate. We took a vow to preserve and protect this culture. Are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? That is the question. Are we maintaining the vision that was set in the early 1990s to ensure in early 1990s, I can't emphasize that enough. It's not about pointing fingers at nobody. It's not about dissing somebody else about what they doing and what they didn't do and who they are. And it's not about that. It's about what we doing. That's what it's about. Are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? Are we maintaining the vision that was set in the early 1990s? To ensure that we are, okay, we published the Gospel of Hip Hop in 2009. It took 14 years from 1994 to 2009 to complete this work. Everything you need to know about the Temple of Hip Hop and the work that it is designed to do is in the Gospel of Hip Hop. In addition, the Gospel of Hip Hop informs hip hop as to its spiritual nature and approaches hip hop as philosophy and as a way of life. this is a quite different approach to hip hop than someone who is simply enjoying rap music or whatever, or some other form of artistic entertainment. Here, for those of us that are serious about hip hop, about its preservation, there are successful, well-documented, effective ways to actually conduct oneself within hip hop. Let me say that again. For those of us that are serious, there are productive and effective ways to conduct yourself within this culture that you need to know about. As with any indigenous culture, its principles are not its laws. Notice what I said. Its principles are not the laws. Principles serve more as advice, whereas law is most times enforced with a punishment of some sort. Societies that have reached true civilization have realized their principles. Societies that have reached true civilization don't need law. They have realized how important it is to maintain principle, to maintain character. If you have the right character, the right cultural character, you don't need law. And this is what our original civilizations were about. Law is only imposed on us because we live in a colonial society. But if you want to get back to your original civilization, there is no law and there is no leader. It's the realization of how important your principles are. Principles serve more as advice, whereas law is most times enforced with a punishment of some sort. Societies that have reached true civilization have realized that it is better to cooperate than to compete, than it is to compete. It is better to unite and cooperate with one another than it is to disregard, disrespect, and compete against one another. But as simple as this may sound, such is still the most difficult thing to achieve. And this is the true reason as to why nothing can get done. Simple things like care for a stranger and an eagerness to help somebody, these are among the attributes that actually build civilizations, yet nobody can achieve them. And this is why our temple exists. If you have no peace of mind, you cannot do this work. If you have no love in your heart, you can't do this work. Think about this. If it is too difficult for you because of your own suspicion and fear to unite and trust your neighbor, you won't be able to do this work. If you are resentful and unforgiving, you can't do this work. Like go back to suspicion and fear. That's why a lot of these other hip hop organizations, they're not effective. And I say that respectfully. Because even within your own organization, you got backstabbing and this one don't like this one and this one don't get along with that one. That shit right there is what destroys organizations. You can't even do nothing. You can't even realize your goal because you guys haven't figured out how to live amongst each other. Well, the Temple of Hip Hop, we went through that stage. It was 14 years. We went through the stage of the immaturity of group organization. You know, in revolution, it's called grassroots organizing, where you got to go through this bullshit. But if you come out on the other side of it, you got a group of people that are loyal to a mission. That's where we at right now. We had to go through this since 1996, yo. It wasn't easy. But we got here. And how did we get here? Because first, everybody wanted to be suspicious. Who he think he is. And what he do. And why him? And why that? And why? That's understandable at the beginning. It's like, if I step on stage and I say, yo, I'm a dope MC. And everybody say, well, why you, what you talking about? What you said, show and prove, what? Then you spit the raw and got dudes on their knees. They can't take it. Your poetry is so stupid. They feeling it. Then there's no more doubt, right? There's no more fear, right? There's no more suspicion. But that's not what we dealing with. And that's how we know dudes are going to fall. Not because we say so, but because their character. Their character. We done proved ourselves already. At the beginning stages, when I first said Temple of Hip Hop, I knew it sounded crazy. It's a new concept. People telling us all types of wild shit. Yeah, You know, we knew what it was, but I knew this is what hip hop needed. You need this. And on top of that, this is what we discussed at our meetings. But now that we're here, we've gone through, and I'll say this respectfully, you know what I'm saying? I'll say it respectfully. A lot of other organizations did not maintain their integrity. They did not maintain their integrity. Leadership died. Leadership went to the wayside, went to the side. You know, no, we stayed firm, y'all. We stayed firm. From 1996, the Temple of Hip Hop has never faltered. People tried to diss us, call us all types of stuff. At the end of the day, we stayed firm to the work. Now we here. And the work gonna continue. But now we here. Like when I say here, meaning, you know, we were privileged by the grace of God. We were privileged to throw our own 50th anniversary right in front of 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx, the only official. Now we're here. Okay? Now we're here. We're protecting the birthplace of hip hop, the 1520 Sedgwick Avenue rec room. We protect that and further develop it. We've erected our own temple in Brick City. In Brick City, a city that has already contributed to hip hop in immense ways. We've established our temple there. What else? The gospel is here. Anything you want to know, the gospel's right here. You want to hold me to any kind of principle, hold me to the gospel. So where's the suspicion? Where's the doubt? Where's the criticism? What we still criticizing? We still doubting? We still suspicious? We still don't know? Well, now you know what? We got to leave you in the dust. In your doubt, in your disbelief, in your fears. Leave you in the dust because we got work to do. And that's what I'm saying. If by now you don't trust the situation that you see in front of you, you don't trust the Temple of Hip Hop, you don't trust our mission, if by now you don't trust real and proven results, then that's on you. We're going to leave you alone now. We're going to move on with our mission. So, again, if you are resentful and unforgiving, you can't do this work. If you have to give people, if everyone has to agree with you, you can't do this work. If you can't change your view, you can't do this work. You can't do this work. You have to give people a chance to grow. And this is the work. This is the other part of the work, because people have dissed us, dissed the temple, and this, that, and the other. Sure, no problem. We understand. We are the teachers. And so when you come into consciousness, we love you just the same. Because this is what I'm saying. You can't be resentful and unforgiving to do this work, the work of the teacher. To teach a culture, okay, you have to have a thick skin. You have to give people a chance to grow, and when they have matured, and they can see their immaturity now, you as teacher cannot hold them, hold their past immaturities against them. You saw them immature. You taught them. They rose. Now they're mature. You can't go back to say, remember when you, I don't like you because back in the days you was young. No, the teacher has to continuously mature the students, the apprentice, and the culture itself. So you can't be resentful. These now become the means meaning that a person's immaturities and mistakes become the means by which to teach. Without the mistake, there's no teaching. Without the mistake, there's no degree. So we realize that one's mistakes and shortcomings and immaturities once you overcome that, those immaturities and the shortcomings become your degrees to teach others. You've been through something, you experienced something, now you got wisdom. You can say you can put somebody else in their place now, in their rightful place. Right, this is what it is. I've been there, I did that, I know the result. This is what you're gonna get. You don't want it. Oh, I've been there, I did that. Here's the result. You want this. Wisdom either way. But these are all the principles and character of those that study with the temple of hip hop. These attributes are also what is needed to do the work of preserving hip hop. Presently, we are located at 55 Ludlow Street, Newark, New Jersey, Brick City. It is here that we fulfill another part of our 1994 vision, which called for an authentic hip hop cultural center operating as hip hop's official ministry, archive, school, and society. This is yet another hip hop sacred space where the rules of commerce and industry do not apply and has no authority here whatsoever. And we are not against anyone here. Let me say that. I wrote that right here. We're not against anyone here. Let me reiterate that again. It is simply a matter of being distinct and true to yourself. That's it. That's it. Set yourself apart from the bullshit. If hip hop is going to exist as culture, then some of us are going to have to remain loyal to the development of hip hop as culture. Otherwise, we're playing games with ourselves. Actually, we're playing games with our children's lives. Again, we understand that everyone cannot be part of such a movement like this, but in no way whatsoever should anyone assume that we, or KRS, is going to set aside our cultural principles for corporate profit, or ignore the blatant exploitation of our culture by others outside of our culture and do nothing about it. Nah, we're doing something about it. But real bad boys move in silence. We don't broadcast our plans until it's time to execute them. If you would like to know more in 2024, that rhymes, you want to know more in 2024 and not be a bitch-ass nigga or a whore, come to the door of the Temple of Hip Hop. Absolutely. And become a member, actually, is what I'm saying. Become a member of the Temple of Hip Hop. Because that's what we're doing, okay? We're making a distinction as to what we're about and what everybody else seems to be about. If everyone else seems to be about the exploitation of our culture, fronting in front of these corporations, selling out the culture so you can have an opportunity, that's on you. In fact, the Temple of Hip Hop exists so that you could do that. Think about that. So you could go ahead and exploit the culture, be what you want to be, do what you want to do, don't know your history, no knowledge of self, you just want your money and you just want to live a good life. You go ahead and do that. There's some others of us, though, that's going to focus on this culture, and we're going to focus on our children, and we're going to focus on the transference of our culture to our children. And we want them to have the best of our culture. We want them to have the heritage, the tradition, the lineage, and the birthright they deserve. And to do that, some of us are going to have to give up our careers. Some of us are going to have to not get the Grammy, not get the Oscar, not get the BET award, not be recognized, never get played on radio, don't get the loans and the deals. Some of us are going to have to do that so we can stand with hip hop. And those of us that standing with hip hop, you have to have the attitude of original hip hop. Fuck them. That's the attitude. There's no other word. I can't say it no other way. It's not forget them. It's not we could do without them. That's not hip hop's attitude. The original hip hop attitude is you motherfuckers are corny and fuck you. That's the attitude. Now, you don't have to walk around with that all day like I do. You can actually, just know that though. You know what I'm saying? You know that a pig grunts and plays in the mud. You ain't got to play in the mud. You ain't got to go to the pig. You ain't a pig, okay? But if you don't know that the pig plays in the mud, then you can find yourself in the mud and in some situations that you don't want to be in because you don't have knowledge of where you are. Well, for those of us that are in hip hop, those of us that are hip hop, you should rest assured that there is one person in this culture that's going to keep it real with this culture. Because I was ordained to do this, I took a vow to do this, and I was trusted to do this. And so we started our Temple of Hip Hop. We've written our Gospel of Hip Hop. And so there should be no shock to anyone if I turn down the Grammy Awards or any of these award shows. It should be no shock. You're not going to see KRS-ONE there. Or if you see me there, this corporation has made a deal with the culture. And so now I'm there to confirm the deal. Like, I'm quite sure in the future, BET gonna have to bury its hatchet with hip hop eventually. You know, it's all about the culture now, and these kids are growing up. So you eventually gonna have to come to your senses and stop portraying our women like bitches and whores and betraying men like they on their way to prison, calling grown men babies and kid and little and young, and you 40? No, somebody got to speak the truth. Somebody, and you can hate me all day. You can not like me. Okay, that's fine. But the truth is going to get spoken. And so that's the job of a temple. We're not here for a popularity contest. We're not here to put the ice on it and make you like me. You like me. You like me. You know, we're not doing that game. We're not playing that game. The game we playing here is that our babies are going to be safe. Our children are going to grow up with a heritage that is going to be worth billions to them. They'll never have to go through what we went through. Never. There'll be temples all over the world when our children grow up. They'll be able to go into their temple and receive whatever they want in all over the world. Like you have churches all over the world. You'll have temples for hip hop all over the world. And when you say I'm hip hop, every temple will have a register of your lineage. And so you walk into any temple of hip hop, swipe your card, say your name, identify yourself somehow, and suddenly you got a place, you got something to eat. Imagine, look at this, y'all. Imagine if by some freak of nature, Kool Herc's children become homeless. Or better yet, no. Let's say, because I'm trying to think of somebody that we don't know, you know, or not so, okay. Let's say Just Ice. Okay, that's my dude, Just Ice. I produced his second and third album. He came out with Mantronics. He's the original hip hop gangster. He appears on Self-Destruction. So Just Ice, okay? So what's his kid supposed to do? Now, dudes don't mention Just Ice at all. Okay, you don't hear, you don't see, nothing. These dudes don't mention Mantronics. None of that. These were huge influences on what we call hip-hop today. Hip-hop, not just rap. What we call hip-hop. The gold teeth, that's Just Ice. First time we saw that. Cool and Deadly. He on the cover with only his teeth showing and a hat. Go back and look. Now his kid, you know, Just Ice ain't sell no million records. He a cultural icon. His kid falls on hard times. His kid got a family. Matter of fact, it's his grandkid who falls on hard times. Grandkid got a family. Where can he go? Rent due. Food low. It's cold. We ain't got no heat. Where does he go? Where can you go? We're building a system where anyone in the world who has anything to do with this culture, you can go to the Temple of Hip Hop, swipe your card, say your name, somehow identify your lineage. If you identify your lineage and say, I'm the great granddaughter of Salt from Salt and Pepper. I'm the great granddaughter. That means I'm the granddaughter of the grandmother of Salt's daughter. Okay, I'm the daughter. Okay, you get what I'm saying here. Okay, you get it. That lineage, okay, is Salt from Salt and Pepper. She has a daughter. That daughter has a daughter. And the child of that daughter runs into hard times. Where do they go? Where's their banking system that they could go to a place and say, my mother is Salt. Can I get this? You goddamn right you getting this loan right now? Who did you say your mother was again? My mother is Finesse, from Finesse and Sequence. Finesse and Sequence. My mother is Finesse. Yeah. My mother is Nikki D. Yeah. My mother is The Boss. Remember The Boss? She was on Def Jam. My mother is Yo-Yo. My mother is my great-great-great-great-grandmother. And look what I say, great-great-great-great-great-grandmother. 4 generations later, okay, was Bahamadia. My great-grandmother was Bahamadia. Who recognizes Bahamadia? Who recognizes that and say, yep, we know exactly who you are and your contribution to this culture. Sit down right here and have this meal. Your kids can play in the back. Here's where we at. You need somewhere to live. We got apartments. We got houses. We got land. We got places for you to go. Your kids want to be educated. Of course, they only should be educated within hip-hop schools. So come on over here. And what we teach is the illness, okay? We could do this, y'all. We could do all this. And we're going to. That's the point. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. This is what's in our destiny. For us to live in our own civilization. We're going from civil rights to civilization rights. And once we can live in our own civilization, see, some call it self-determination, the right to govern yourself and determine your own future. Well, if America's really about self-determination and people coming and governing their own future, then you'll recognize hip-hop as the global culture that it is. And the U.S. has. I can't even front. Every U.S. senator, governor, everybody I'm talking to, like, yup, hip-hop. Even the racists. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Even those who I know are mumbling nigga under their breath after we leave. I know you are. But in front of my face, you got a front. And that's called power. In front of my face, you got a front. Now, I know you think of me as this and this and this, but my culture is so stupid right now that you are not going to be in your office unless you appease this over here. That's where hip hop is today. And I'm gonna bring this to a close because that brings me to my piece right here with the Grammys and my refusal to show up. We are the power now. When I was growing up and Michael Jackson did the moonwalk, and I don't even know if that was the Grammys, but you know, when we were growing up and we used to watch the Grammys was in power. They dictated what American culture was, at least as far as music was concerned, and as far as what was power, what was, you know, who was going to be validated and who was not. When I was a young kid, the Grammys was powerful like that. Now I'm an adult man and reaching toward divinity on top of that. And the Grammys has no more power, respectfully. I'm not dissing them. They have power in other areas, but you ain't got no power over here. None. Not with hip hop. We have surpassed you. And this is what all of hip hop should know, and this is what the Grammys should know as well. This is what Naris should know as well. We have surpassed you. We don't need your validation. When we needed it, you didn't give it to us. Now we surpassed you. We don't need you. We don't need your validation. If you want to do anything for hip hop, then you'll dedicate the Grammy Awards, the next Grammy Awards, you'll dedicate it to everyone you didn't give a Grammy to in hip hop. And KRS will be the last one you give that Grammy to. The last one will be me. Before me, there's 1,000 others that deserve your Grammy Award and never got it. Give them the award first. Then you'll satisfy the culture. Maybe I'll come and validate your bullshit. Anyway, so at the end of the day,
no, that was Motown.
It was the Motown 50 when Michael did
Motown 25.
Motown 25 anniversary.
Which was on May 16th. Hey.
Oh, wow, May 16th. What year was that?
1983.
1983, May 16th was the Motown. That's wild. May 16, 2001, we signed the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace. Something else to put in. These dates are not coincidence. So listen, y'all, that's our teaching for today. Stand on your culture. Don't be swayed or tempted or threatened by anybody. Stand in your culture, stand on your square, and let's do the work that we said we was all going to do. What we're going to do now is I'm going to play
Temple Bio.
the Temple Bio thing. No, because I had Kid Capri lined up.
Yeah, you can do both.
You can do both. I was going to hit the Kid Capri first. Well, you know what? Go ahead and hit Kid Capri first. After this, this is the homework assignment, which is we play like a 10, 15-minute bio. It's actually a 15-minute bio on the Temple of Hip Hop. Some of you that have been studying with us, you've already seen this. You don't have to stay for this. Those of you that have not seen this or are coming to us for the first time, this you should take a look at it. It's again a deeper explanation as to what the temple's about, what we've been doing over the last couple of 30 years, 20 something years or so, and how you could be involved and so on. So that's it. It's funny. I'm ending on 303, or I'm ending at 303. Interesting number. All the numbers are lining up right now, y'all, for some strange reason. It is what it is. So this is I'm out. This is Kid Capri, and then after that, and wait, why am I playing Kid Capri right now? Because we want to keep it real with what original hip hop was. Like I said, if we know that hip hop was breaking, MCing, graffiti, or DJing, why are we doing all this other stuff and you calling it hip hop? That's my argument right there. Let's watch this quick Kid Capri break, and then we'll go into the Temple of Hip Hop. I'll see you guys next week. Every 12 o'clock is how we get down on Sundays. Thanks for learning, KRS. Woo! Here's what we doing.
Check 1, 2. I like the way that sound. Word up, I like the way that sound. Hold up now, old school.
Yes, yes, y'all. Rock, rock, y'all. KRS, y'all. Kid Capri, y'all. Let's go, y'all. Block party, y'all. Woo! Forget the hype, here's the lesson. Hip-hop culture turned 47. Kid Capri on the turntable weapon. KRS-ONE, take it back, 77. Yo, just before the rap, long before TV and all of that. 2 turntables, a mic and raw rap. Or rather MCing is what we call that. A jam, most of y'all never saw that. That's why right now we bringing it all back. KRS-ONE, I'm just a tall cat. Original MC, I am called that. Rappers today, what they say be all whack. DJ Kid Capri brings the boom back, taking you back with skills, we prove that. I'm the MC, the crowd, I move that. Security's like, you got to move back. KRS rocks the old and new tracks, whether rock, reggae, EDM, or trap. I rock the microphone, that's a fact. KRS, Kid Capri, back to back. We came first, you dudes came after that. That's why they all jealous. We the true legends, it's nothing they can tell us. No, you can't buy us, nope, you can't sell us. Whether over music or acapellas, we them good fellas, nope, we never fell. Organic intelligence is faster than Dell.
Let us all give a wonderful round of applause for the teacher, KRS-ONE.
Let's get right to the point. And I'm struggling with my voice because the more I use it, the better it gets. I screamed and yelled yesterday, and obviously my voice is a little raspy. But the more I use it, the better it gets. And I say that because the soul is the same way.
Peace and welcome to the Temple of Hip Hop. I am Sun One, an apprentice committed to the Temple of Hip Hop. And this presentation is produced to give you some information regarding the Temple of Hip Hop, its function, and its history.
These missions that we do, this mission that we're on, has been happening for the last 30 years. What you're sitting in is a long-standing tradition with hip hop. And this is the purpose for what we call the Temple of Hip Hop. We started in 1996, really before that, but the term Temple of Hip Hop didn't come to us until 1996. Like I said before, for 30 years, hip hop has been meeting like this and discussing itself.
We're not looking to make $1 million. We're looking to have a presence where people know that there's a legitimate force out there that is ran by legitimate people about this culture. If you have questions about the culture and you want legitimate answers, not yo man, you know what I'm saying, but legitimate answers that you can go and print somewhere in a college journal about a culture, you need to come see the Temple of Hip Hop.
The Temple of Hip Hop is a hip hop preservation society which functions as an authentic hip hop ministry. We preach the attainment of peace, love, unity, and safely having fun through the mastery of breaking, MCing, graffiti art, and DJing.
What's up? How y'all doing? Yeah, now look, if y'all ain't hyped yet, you will be hyped before you leave here tonight. Because tonight we're going to establish the authority of hip-hop culture.
The mission began with the launch of the Stop the Violence movement in 1989, and then with Human Education Against Lies, HEAL, in 1991. In 1994, KRS-ONE declared, "I am hip-hop," and began to inspire the global hip-hop community to see itself beyond music entertainment. During this time, KRS-ONE would unify the essence of the hip-hop community around the development of hip-hop as a global culture, and how such a culture could be preserved and passed on to future generations. Others at the time had brought up the idea of rappers forming a union capable of providing health care and legal defense for rappers and DJs. But it was KRS-ONE that introduced the idea of hip-hop being an international culture of peace and prosperity for all those practicing hip-hop's cultural elements.
But the theme of unifying hip-hop as a culture, unifying artists, and having them organized in a fashion where they can control their political power, control their economic power, their creative power, etc., etc.
It was KRS-ONE that put the K in hip-hop's culture and actually did the work to unify hip-hop into a global community beyond entertainment. But such ideas would be met with fierce opposition and sabotage. Prominent hip-hop pioneers, journalists, professors, and artists alike refused to accept the idea of hip-hop becoming a legitimate global culture. They argued for its continued existence as a music genre, hip-hop. When KRS-ONE first stated, "I am hip-hop," his critics thought that he was speaking only of himself, that he alone was hip-hop. But what our teacher was saying was that not only did he realize that he was hip-hop itself, but that anyone participating in hip-hop was also hip-hop itself.
But someone else would say, yes, I am hip-hop. Now the two of us are united. I'm hip-hop, this person's hip-hop. Class don't matter. Gender don't matter. Race don't matter. Religion don't matter. Hip-hop is above all of that. You can be whatever you want to be. All we want to know is, can you break? Can you MC? Can you DJ? Can you do rap? Can you beatbox? What is your culture? What is the content of your character?
Through his songs, books, and lectures, over a 30-year period, KRS-One taught the hip-hop community about itself and made it cool to be intelligent. This is why he is hip-hop's official teacher.
I want to verify something that you Look in the back of this tag. You see in the back is that your tag?
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, that's when the tag is pointing down to where the party's at.
The tag was pointing where the party.
That was the direction. Whoa, that's crazy. Yeah, you come this far, this is keep on coming down the step to the valley. Right. Down to the you're going out to the water. Right. I was a chill down to the water. Right. A major dig and highway.
Down to the couch.
Turn the page. A matter of fact, my girlfriend, my first girlfriend, graduated. This has to play ball at.
That's me and Kenny. Sesame 2.
You see the trail coming down?
Yeah, I see
the steps there. All right, okay, all right.
Taking it back.
Now this park right here used to stay filthy. You see all this right here? Only time the kids, anybody know, anytime, that's it. Remember, this is it. When the park is clean, earth is coming down. I said, you want me to come out there and play? I gotta clean the park up. See, yeah. A lot of dirt to cover down here, man. It's not like that, man. Whoa. See, he was there. You couldn't come out, you was hearing madness.
I was hearing it and couldn't go.
You was hearing it. Oh shit, good. I live on the other side of the building here. Right. And this is the park right here.
We was
and
out our window.
This is the daycare center. That daycare center's still there, man.
Oh.
This is where I belong to our first party at for such a season. But this is the block party.
I needed to verify the tag.
That's it.
Because only God would have positioned my mother like that.
Word up. That is crazy.
He had no idea what was going on.
Right.
When no one else was thinking about hip-hop as a teachable subject, KRS-One was out there lecturing at universities, performing at sold-out concerts, and writing books pertaining to hip-hop years before it became fashionable to do so. In 1994, after declaring "I am hip-hop" for the first time, KRS-One held a Meeting of the Minds conference at the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture in Harlem, New York. Many pioneers were in attendance. This was the first time the question as to how to preserve hip-hop as a new culture was properly asked.
With question number one being, what in our minds is the most important aspect to preserving the culture of hip-hop?
In 1997, the Temple of Hip Hop held its first hip hop census, which asked thousands of hip hoppers their definitions of hip hop and where hip hop should be going. In the same year, the Temple of Hip Hop held major public and private hip hop cultural conferences all across the United States, seeking the proper definition, history, and purpose of hip hop as an actual world culture.
Well, it started from myself. I was the first. Hip hop to me right now is like it's on the course of a relay. I was the first guy who started off with the baton. You know, I started off like that, and the origin, West Indian background. You know, I was born in the West Indies, from Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica.
Led by KRS-One, the Temple of Hip Hop continued to produce many of these kinds of meetings and lectures, ultimately establishing Hip Hop Appreciation Week every third week in May in 1998. and then going on to declare hip-hop a legitimate world culture of peace and prosperity May 16, 2001, at the United Nations headquarters in New York. This gathering at the delegates' dining room revealed the Hip-Hop Declaration of Peace.
Wherever the elements, culture, and expressions of hip-hop and the term hip-hop manifests, this hip-hop Declaration of Peace shall govern its use and interpretation. Hip-hop respects the dignity and sanctity of life without discrimination or prejudice. Hip-hop culture demands that hip-hoppers work to eliminate poverty, speak out against injustices, and to shape a more caring society and a more peaceful world. Hip-hop does not participate in any form of hate at any time. Those who are not hip-hop are prohibited from explaining or interpreting hip-hop to others. Hip-hop respects the laws and agreements of its culture, its country, and those it does business with. Hip-hop is the name of our collective consciousness. As a conscious way of life, we recognize our influence on society, especially on children, and we forever shall keep the welfare of both in mind.
This groundbreaking document is the only legally established, NGO-recognized agreement in the world regarding the existence of hip-hop as a legitimate global culture of peace and prosperity. It was at this historic gathering of serious scholars, UN delegates, artists, hip-hop pioneers, and journalists that the Hip-Hop Declaration of Peace was established by hip-hop for hip-hop, with the ceremonial acknowledgement of the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. As KRS-ONE stated at the signing of the Hip-Hop Declaration of Peace, quote, "Now that we exist, there will never not be a time where we shall not exist. Even if hip-hop stops tomorrow, it will always be remembered. Its influences shall remain entrenched in the very fabric of the societies in which it existed. Our existence as a temple for hip-hop brings balance to hip-hop in world history. Knowing that hip-hop is the name of our social group in world history, it becomes obvious then that no one is going to intentionally protect, promote, and preserve hip-hop for the sake of hip-hop. This we are going to have to do for ourselves, and this is what it means to be hip-hop," end quote.
Before we get to the elements, the artistic elements, before we get to the performances, you got to ask yourself, what caused us to do that? Not the rapping, yo. What makes a person want to even do that? Well, what makes you even think that you can touch the turntable and manipulate it in such a way that it's now at the level of a guitar or a violin or a horn? You took an appliance, and because of your perception of the appliance changed, not you.
Membership with the Temple of Hip Hop begins with one securing a copy of the Gospel of Hip Hop for oneself. Entry into our society of attuned hip-hoppers begins with the study of the Gospel of Hip Hop on one's own time at one's own pace. Those with a copy of the Gospel of Hip Hop are considered temple members. Everything about our temple, its meaning and purpose, its schedule and its mission is further explained there. Contentment and self-acceptance begins our ministry. The accurate documentation of hip-hop's existence in the world begins our archive. The teaching of an authentically hip-hop curriculum begins our school. And our unity around the overstandings of the gospel of hip-hop begins our society. Welcome to the Temple of Hip-Hop.
So in faith, we say, we know this is already done. We let it be. We are the people. And there it is. There it is. Thank you for the